Broadway's My Beat, from Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway's My Beat, the thrilling drama of murder and mystery and the people who walk the Great White Way, starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. In the morning, a kind of silence touches Broadway. The color has been squeezed from it, drained, spent by the wanton night. The neon is still, and the spectacular sleep. The scavengers walk soft, grubbed furtively in the refuse of the night. And if you listen close, you can hear the wind. And it's the same wind that purrs through ruins. At headquarters, you welcome Broadway's silence, but you know it'll splinter in your face. And it does. Its shape is a slip of paper tossed carelessly on your desk. On it are written the words, Homicide, Olympian Hotel, room 312. And Broadway is awake now. It's starting a new day. At the Olympian Hotel, you walk down a corridor that's been painted in a color that won't offend anybody. And then a door opens to you, and a voice designed not to frighten you welcomes you into a room lately furnished with death.
Come in, please. You're from headquarters, I presume?
And you?
Matthew Porter, Yale 47. Head of the Crime Detection Bureau for the management. This is my first murder.
Shot. 45, I'd say. Who was he, a guest?
Not likely. Oh, I took the liberty of going through his pockets for identification, of course. I find he is a Frank Conroy, obviously one of those people from Texas. The high-heeled boots, that 10-gallon monstrosity over there on the bed. They wear those things. Died with his boots on, eh? Classic.
And this? Courtesy of the management?
The roulette wheel? Of course not. Gambling in the rooms is positively forbidden at the Olympian.
But this is a roulette wheel, I'd swear it, Mr. Porter.
Maybe the Texan brought it with him. You know Texas millionaires. Oil, steers, women, roulette, the black and the red.
You say he wasn't a guest?
Never saw him before. How he got in without my notice, I don't know.
Whose room is this?
Oh, Mr. Henry Sherwood, Stocks and Bonds. Inoffensive chap. A moment, please. Yes? Oh, thank you. Strange. A telegram addressed to an Eddie Donald, care of this room.
Open it.
But,
Open it. Read it. Aloud.
Dear Eddie, stop. Arrived flight 12 from Cleveland. Stop. 11:15 this morning. Stop. Hope you had good rest. Stop. Ha ha. Stop. Signed, Henry Sherwood.
What time is it now?
10:03 on the nose.
Well, that gives me an hour. You'll be courteous to the public servants when they come for the dead Texan, won't you, Yale? It took just about that hour to get to LaGuardia. 4-engine plane from Cleveland made a storybook landing, and the people who walked through its door made storybook exits. Pause at the door, smile, wave, and walk down the ramp. The stewardess stood there checking off each performance. I asked her who was Henry Sherwood, and she pointed out a little man with a briefcase who was just going off the field. Sherwood! Henry Sherwood! Hey! Sure name Sherwood?
Who are you?
Police. You Henry Sherwood?
Police? Say, what is this?
You're registered at the Olympian Hotel, room 312?
Yes, I am.
Who's Eddie Donald?
Eddie Donald? What's he got to do with the police?
We're looking for him. What's he got to do with you?
I lent him my suite while I was in Cleveland. I called him and told him he could live like a king in my suite for the week I was away. He acquiesced.
All right. Where does Eddie Donald usually live?
In a hotel. On West 59th. Let me think up just where...
You do that, Mr. Sherwood, on the way down to headquarters. It didn't take Mr. Sherwood all the way down to headquarters to think of it. He thought of Eddie Donald's address just as I was lifting him into the squad car. He wriggled and said I could let him go now. I said they'd point a finger at me if I did. At headquarters, Mr. Sherwood said he'd take up police brutality with the stock exchange, the governor, the State Department. When he got to Drew Pearson, I walked out. Eddie Donald's hotel was run by a sweet and charming lady. Everybody told her she was that, so she told me.
Just call me Mom, Mr. Clover. Everybody calls me that. It's because I treat my boys like as if they was my own son.
Mrs. Toby,
What's the matter? You got monkeys in your ears? I told you to call me Mom.
Okay, Mom. Eddie Donald, is he home?
Eddie? Now, what do you want with dear, sweet Eddie?
All I want is he home?
Eddie brings me candy. On Mother's Day, he brings me flowers. Go on, Mr. Clover. Talk to Mom about Eddie.
We want him for murder.
Murder? Why, that dirty, low-down, no good. The flowers he brought me, they stunk. The candy he picked up off a subway seat. He's a week behind in his rent, and he has the gall to commit murder.
Take it easy, Mom. Where is he?
Wherever he is, I hope it's crawling. The shame he brought to my hotel.
He's not here?
No. He didn't come home all week. Every night I waited for him to bring me a bop. He didn't come home to Mom.
You mind if I take a look?
Looked Eddie green in the face. Come on. This is his room. As of now, it's got a sign on it. Room to let, half price. I'll show that, Eddie.
This picture.
September's the only picture of a month in the altogether I ever seen. Now comes November. She don't even look cold.
It's framed. The calendar part's been cut off. To Eddie, it says. Forever and ever. No signature. You ever seen the girl before?
Only in shop windows and on counters and magazines all over the country. You like her?
The artist. Magna. A Magna girl. Mind if I take the picture with me?
You lonely boy. Take it. Mom says you can take it.
Thanks, Mom. I beg your pardon? Whose name is Magna around here?
But I am. My studio, my artistry, my cocktail party for my one-man show. But I am. A joke. A joke?
No. I was just asking.
You have taken the tour? Come, I will show you Magna. Here, on this pedestal is the trunk of a small tree on which Magna first carved
I think you misspelled a word there.
You saw it! You saw it! How Magna extracted the essence of the word and set it down for the world to applaud. Oh, you primitive! You saw it!
Just stop jumping up and down, Mr. Magna. I want to ask you a couple of questions.
You don't understand my art?
I understand your calendars.
You are not a primitive after all.
Yeah, take a look at this one. I brought it along.
Magna does not autograph reproduction.
Who is this girl? Who modeled for this painting?
As it is printed on top. November modeled for it.
Yeah, but what's her name?
November.
I forgot to tell you I'm from the police, Mr. Magna.
November posed for the painting. A touch of gold, a sniff of sorrow, the dying days, all embodied in a woman. I found one... You're a cop? I found November one day at a model agency.
Who is she?
Nelson. Liz Nelson. A pedestrian name for November, yes? No?
Where do I find her?
Liz Nelson? Her address?
Her address.
I will write it down for you.
Don't extract the essence for me, Mr. Magna. Just the number and street.
What else?
Go away. If you're the Fuller Brush man, go away. If you want me to sign a petition, go away. Whatever's eating you, go away.
I'm from the police, Miss Nelson.
Oh, yeah. Now I can tell. I can tell by the way you put your foot in the door. Police or a mature college boy working his way through a mature college.
Let's go inside, Miss Nelson.
All right, let's go inside. The bed, it looks like that because I live in it. When I'm not working that at it, every minute. That way I stay bewitched. The police want me to pose to improve their public relations. That's why you're here.
Eddie Donald. You know him, Miss Nelson?
Uh-huh.
And maybe you can tell me where he is.
Uh-uh.
But you can't tell me about him.
Uh-huh.
Tell me.
You first. You tell me why. Uh-huh. Well, let's see now. I know Eddie for 4 years now. 2 years of that he was in Dannemora prison.
Why?
I never followed his career, so I don't know why.
After that?
He called me. Lots of times. Left a number where I could reach him. Sometimes I'd call back. Depended on my schedule and my mood.
When was the last time the schedule permitted?
Oh, about 3 months ago. I got it penciled in my little black book.
Frank Conroy, a man from Texas. He in the book?
He's dead, isn't he? I read about it.
Is he in the book?
Uh-uh. First I heard of him, he was dead.
And Eddie Donald, when was the last time you saw him?
I told you, 3 months ago.
You inscribed a picture to him. Forever and ever, it said. A calendar picture.
The cost of my beauty. Men look at my picture and they want me to belong to them forever and ever. Sometimes it's for always. I put down what they tell me. Oh. Let's not answer it, huh?
Uh-uh. Oh?
Eddie? Eddie?
Hmm?
I figure you'd be there. This is Jack Perry. I'll make it easy for you. Try room B, 1829, West 47.
Who was it?
Miss Nelson.
You came real early. Who are you?
Police, Danny Clover.
I did what?
Can I come in?
No.
Your name, Jack Perry?
State your business right from there. All right, so your muscle got you in. Am I real important to you?
Look, Perry, I'm trying to find out who killed a man from Texas.
What voice whispered my name is Perry?
You did.
What else did I do?
Over the phone when you called Liz.
Spare me the method, police. I got it figured already. Your muscle lifted the phone, said it was Eddie Donald.
You're real anxious to talk to Eddie, aren't you?
Real.
Why?
I'm that way. Mind if I sit down?
Let's go, Perry. I got a squad car outside.
All for me?
The police are looking for Eddie. Maybe you'll help. Let's go.
Yeah, sure, I'll help. I'll help you from here.
All right.
Eddie's got a lot of money that's mine. It's a reason for a man wanting to see a man.
How much money?
What's the difference? A lot. You know what, police? Someone's in back of it.
Yeah, I know. Let's go.
Someone is.
Let's go. His laughter mixed well with pain. It came in tides and swelled and rolled over me. The thing that pounded at my brain was the thing that exploded and showered down like a million nickels, bright, colored red and green and black. Then everything stopped. It came back again later. And I opened my eyes. The color, the paint, the room was the same. The pattern of frayed furniture and dust. And Jack Perry was still there. Only he was different. He wasn't laughing anymore. He couldn't. He'd been shot to death. Though the R months fade and the oysters forsake Broadway, life still goes on. There are the box scores to consider, the hot dogs with everything. And for exercise, you can now dial Nassau County. As if this weren't enough, Broadway offers another diversion, double killing, this time backdrop with a roulette wheel, and a police officer who got slugged at the scene of the crime. Broadway tucks the protesting wiener back into the roll, takes another bite and chews appreciatively. Later, at police headquarters, Sergeant Tartaglia summed it all up.
This is something you can stick your teeth into, Danny.
What is?
This sticky apple Mrs. Tartaglia packed with my lunch. It's tasty and good.
I'm sure it is, Gino, but I got a headache. I've just come from the infirmary, and Dr. Sinsky said I'd feel a lot better if I didn't have any emotional disturbances for a while. So let's all pitch in and help Dr. Sinsky, huh?
Roger, we'll go.
Thank you.
So, to work we go. To wit, in the matter of Frank Conroy from Texas, he is indeed from Texas. Police authorities in Texas sent a 500-word telegram to us to that effect.
500 words?
Indeed. It states that Frank Conroy is an esteemed owner of oil wells and well-known in Galveston. The rest of the telegram is about Texas.
Go on.
In the matter of Jack Perry, the man who was killed under your very nose was a man known to all and sundry as a man who delighted in floating games of chance. That's what on him.
All right. Tell me about the man we're looking for, Eddie Donald.
An all-points bulletin is out on him at this very moment.
What else?
Eddie Donald was released from Dannemora nigh on to 6 months ago after serving a 2-year stretch for assault and battery.
Before he went to jail, Tartaglia.
Hearsay has it that this same Eddie Donald was a steerer for the gambling industry. Precisely speaking, for Mark Oslo.
Yeah. And hearsay has it that Mark Oslo isn't operating anymore.
You believe that, Danny?
No. Well, we've never been able to get anything on him. Tartaglia.
Yeah?
Does Oslo still live at the same address?
I checked that already, Danny, and yeah, he does. In that tumble-down shack on Park Avenue. Hey, Danny, I brought you one, too. I was hiding a sticky apple behind my back.
The shack of Mark Oslo occupied 5 floors of a gilt-edge apartment house where dogs were walked by student psychiatrists. On the first floor of his hovel, something in silk, knee breeches, and epaulets held a candelabra to your badge, sighed profoundly, adjusted its wig, and ushered you into a private elevator. On the second floor, you caught a glimpse of a library with real books, thousands of them. On the third floor, a girl with ashen hair and leg slits in her mandarin robe waved joy to you as you floated up. On the fourth floor, a chef sniffing a chafing dish took time to consider you as a potential sauce, rejected you. And then you were on the 5th floor. The mate of the thing in silk knee breeches led you through a luster of elegant men and women in silent prayer at a roulette table. Then Mark Oslo extended a glittering hand to you. You didn't take it.
No, Danny. You don't shake my hand, and it sets up a melody of sorrow in my heart.
Cry a tear, Mark. I'd like to see it.
You'd be the first. You want a tear, Danny? I could arrange it.
You could. Having a party, Mark?
You mean my friends at the table? They're playing for matchsticks, Danny. Literally, matchsticks. Come along, Danny. I'll show you.
Don't bother.
No? Your pleasure, Danny. I should get back to my guest. State your pleasure.
Eddie Donald.
Eddie Donald. Mark Oslo knows such a man?
Yeah, Mark Oslo does. Shall I freshen it up for you, Mark?
No need, Danny, thank you. It'll come back. Eddie Donald. Oh, yes. You want him for murder, and you come to me for help.
For Eddie Donald, not for what you said, Mark.
He was a good boy. Came to work on time, conscientious. Stuffed the suggestion box with suggestions. I read a few, not bad. I sent word down for him to keep trying.
Where is he, Mark?
My chef baked some delicacies for him. I had them sent to Eddie at Dannemora. After that, we lost touch. Not even a thank you note from Eddie. It goes.
A man named Frank Conroy. What does that do to you, Mark?
The dead Texan, nothing at all. Someone pointed it out to me while I was having a rub, and it didn't do anything at all.
Jack Perry, try him.
Some of my friends sent a wreath. I paid for it. Should I have done more? Oh, of course. You were hurt in that one, weren't you, Danny? Name your favorite charity.
Eddie Donald, Mark. That's all I want. Send the word around. Get him to me.
You're ordering me, Danny?
Yeah. Surprise you?
No, I find it rather delightful. I'll tell you what, Danny. Mark Oslo will see what he can do, and the footman will show you out. Goodbye, Danny.
On the way back down on the elevator, I caught a glimpse of the girl in the mandarin robe again. This time, she was eating a hamburger. I was disenchanted about the whole thing. I called headquarters. Nothing on Eddie Donald. Phoned cab garages. Nothing. Spent a few more hours dropping in on back rooms and dropping the name of Eddie Donald. Blank stares. Then I went home and slept on it. And the way it happened was simple. The next morning, I walked out of the door. There was a hand on my sleeve by the time I stepped onto the pavement.
Hi, Danny.
Benny Fane. You're looking good, Benny.
Yeah, I am. I'm on my way to work. How do you like that?
I like it. What happened?
I kicked it, Danny, off the stuff. Got a job. Look at me. $50 suit, suede shoes, watch by Lon Jean. Beautiful, huh? I'm credit, Danny, but I'm going to pay for it. Legitimate job. Publishing.
Huh? Publishing what?
Well, anyhow, Danny, the reason I've been waiting for you on my way to work is because I never let my old friends down, so you never let them down. Still working for you. Now, don't call it stooling, Danny. I can't stand that word.
Nobody called it anything, Benny.
Okay. Now, look. Try the Bronx, Danny, if you want to find Eddie Donald. You know where those guys building shacks by the river, those guys out of work? Or try the one with the Bull Durham sign for a front door.
Come on in, pal. Oh, it's not a pal.
No, Eddie.
I'd appreciate it if you tell me your name. It slips the memory.
Danny Clover, police.
That's right, Danny Clover. You are the slough who wants me for the murder of, let me think now, Frank Conroy from Texas and Jack Perry from Stinkville, right?
Uh-huh. Let's go, Eddie.
Gladly.
Huh?
I said I will go with you gladly. However, if you should care to listen to my side for a minute, I think this courtesy will not go unrewarded.
You haven't got much time, Eddie.
Not even enough to give you the for real murder of those two?
The real murderer, Eddie?
For real. Interested?
Maybe.
A story goes with it, Mr. Clover. That Texan. He shouldn't have died. It wasn't planned that way.
No?
No, Mr. Mind if I call you Danny?
Go ahead.
It was like this, Danny. I took a rap in Dannemora.
I know.
Yeah. Then Perry put salt in the wound. While I am in the crib, he purloins my girl.
Go on.
Well, look at me, Danny, how little I am. Can't knock over a mosquito. But one night in a bar, I meet a Texan. He wants to fight. I figure who better he should beat up than Jack Perry from Stinkville. This can be so easy arranged.
By that roulette game in the Olympian.
Exactly. This is a game rigged by Perry. The same night, he tells me go get a sucker for old time's sake. No hard feelings. I got a hotel room courtesy of a friend, so get a sucker. The sucker I bring him is the Texan.
And?
And I play Perry for the sucker. While the Texan loses, I bet against him and keep winning. Then when I got it all, I tell the Texan he's been taken by a rigged wheel. I figure this will make him mad at Perry.
It didn't?
No, the Texan turns yellow just because Perry pulls a gun on him. I quick turn out the lights, there's a shot, and I flee with the dough, 50 grand. So for the murder of the Texan, you should have talked to Perry.
I was talking to Perry, and somebody killed him. You.
That's what I've been trying to tell you, not me. Look, all you got to do is let me go for a little bit, and I'll lead you to the for real murderer.
Sorry. Let's go.
You got it, Danny. You got it. I'll get the murderer for you. Let me go. I'll make you let me go.
The little man took a swing at me, flicked my chin, and I pretended he'd knocked me cold. How I kept from laughing out loud at his surprised, bewildered, then proud face, I'll never know, but I did. And I let Eddie go, because I believed him. To follow him, to get a for-real murderer. Or maybe to make an idiot out of Danny Clover. It was the chance I took. I watched him while he made a phone call. I watched him while he had some coffee. Then I watched him while he hailed a cab, and I hailed one, too. He stopped at an address I'd been to once before. I let him go in, and I waited 5 minutes. Then I went to the apartment where I knew he'd be.
I'm telling you to get out of here, Eddie. You don't get the money. You don't get anything.
You know, I figure it different, Liz.
How do you figure it, Eddie?
The policeman. Look, Eddie, they caught up with you.
Oh, Danny, you recovered. There's your murderer, Danny. I told you, give me a chance.
Miss Nelson here murdered Perry. Is that how you figured?
Take him out of here.
I'm repeating myself, Eddie. Let's go.
No, listen to me. You gotta listen. She wants me to get electrocuted. That's why she did the whole thing. And you know something? I love her.
My kicks for just now. Take him away.
Don't laugh at me, Liz. You could have had the money. Don't you understand? You could have had it. Now.
You two play patty cake down on the pavement. I'm busy.
What about now, Eddie?
Don't you see, Danny? Don't you see what she's done? She kills Perry so I can sit in the electric chair for it.
Why would she want to do a thing like that?
Because she's greedy. She wanted all the dough for herself.
Shut up, Eddie. Make him shut up.
I gave her the money I won, and she said she loved me all over again. And I believed her. But when she heard the cops were looking for me for that rhubarb in the Olympian Hotel, she got cagey as all get out. Kills Perry and books me solid with the executioner.
You're an accomplished girl, Miss Nelson. You model, you pistol whip me in Perry's room, you kill Perry. Accomplished.
Try again.
Don't be like that, Liz. Show him the money. All that money, give it to him.
Eddie, you fool.
Go ahead, Liz. The man's waiting. Give it to
him.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Now, Liz.
I told you to shut up. I told you.
Watch it, Eddie.
Oh.
Drop that gun. Drop it.
Oh.
It's a lot better.
Oh, that money. That money, he ruined it.
Eddie. Bad, Eddie?
I got a bad shoulder now, Danny.
You're a fool, Eddie. She could have killed you.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know whether she did it or not, what I said. But I had to find out. I loved her. I really did.
Broadway. It's an 8-beat revival meeting, and the lost souls wail to a hot trumpet and sax. It's a hunger, complete with syncopation and spinning neon. Grab your dream and dance a while. Then try to look it in the face. You can't. It's a mask of terror. It's Broadway. The gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
We invite you to join us next week at this same time when Detective Danny Clover returns again with Broadway's My Beat. Broadway's My Beat is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed and conducted by Alexander Courage. The program is written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin and stars Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover with Charles Calvert as Tartaglia. Included in tonight's cast were Peggy Weber, Francis Robinson, Eddie Quillen, Herb Butterfield, Jay Novello, and Anthony Barrett. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. 16 persons have been robbed and beaten senseless. The victims describe the assailant as a tall, beautiful woman. Your job, stop her.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week marks the beginning of National Crime Prevention Week, sponsored by your local police department. These 7 days are set aside to call your attention to the fact that your police officer, to better ensure the safety of your community, relies on the cooperation of the individual citizen. We feel that crime prevention should be observed not 7, but 365 days a year.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, October 3rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way over from the city hall, and it was 6:55 p.m. when we got to the county hospital. Ward 9800, room 12.
This way, gentlemen. The third bed.
Thank you.
Here we are. Please try not to excite him, Sergeant. He's had a pretty hard time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Make your visit as brief as possible.
We will, thanks.
Mr. Maloney, how you feeling?
Not so good. You fellas doctors?
No, sir. Police officers. This is Sergeant Romero. My name's Friday. Robbery detail.
Oh. Find out anything yet?
Still checking, Mr. Maloney. We'd like to have you tell us exactly what happened night before last.
Well, she sure had me fooled. That's all I can say.
You're not the first one. 15 others ahead of you. Would you tell us what happened?
Well, I left the shop a little after midnight, and I started to drive home out Central Avenue.
You work at Maloney's Steakhouse down on South Commercial, isn't that right?
Yes, sir. My uncle owns the place. His name's J. Brown Maloney. He knows a lot of cops. You know him?
We met him this afternoon. Could you tell us what happened after you left work?
Well, I started to drive home out Central Avenue. I guess it must have been around 18th Street. Would you push it, Bill, up a little bit?
Yes, sir. I'll get it here. How's that?
Thanks. I pulled up for the arterial. I saw this gal standing on the corner. She was hitchhiking.
Do you remember what she looked like, how she was dressed?
Well, you know, kind of Flashy, but nice clothes. Good-looking dame. Tall, long blonde hair. Beautiful eyes.
You're sure about the color of her hair?
Yeah, it was blonde.
And you offered her a ride?
I didn't think there was anything wrong in it. I'm a married man, you know. I didn't think there was anything wrong.
What happened then?
Well, she got in a car and we drove off. We talked a while and then she pulled a gun on me. Told me to drive up an alley.
Where was that? Do you remember?
Around 32nd Street, 32nd and Central.
And then what?
She took my wallet, watch, car keys, everything I had.
Mm-hmm.
And she made me get out of the car, lay down on the street. I felt her shove that gun again. Can you fix that pillow?
Yeah, you bet. Just lie still here. There you are.
I felt her shove that gun against me, and then she pulled the trigger, I guess. That's all I remember.
You don't recall her slugging you?
It must have happened after she shot me. Her face looks pretty bad, huh?
You'll be all right, Mr. Maloney. You think you'd recognize the girl if you saw her again?
I sure would. Nice looking, you know. Tall, blonde, beautiful shape. Doesn't figure, does it?
What's that?
She'd make more money on the stage than she would rolling guys like me. Must be crazy.
Maybe. Did you look at these mug shots, Mr. Maloney, and see if any of these look like her?
Let's see.
Yeah.
No.
This one?
No.
What about this one here?
No. Let's see. No.
All right. How about this one?
No, she was better looking.
Well, here's the last one.
I don't know. This might be her. The hair was fixed right. Maybe a little more makeup. I'm not sure.
All right, Mr. Maloney. Thank you.
We'll be back to see you in a day or so when you're feeling better.
Okay. Say, my name won't be in the papers, will it?
No, sir, not unless you give it to him.
I was just wondering, a wife might not understand giving a girl a ride, you know?
Yes, sir, we know.
Well, thank you, Mr. Maloney. We'll be checking back with you later on.
Okay, officers. I hope you get a line on that dame.
We're going to try. Goodbye.
Sure messed up, isn't it?
Yeah. That dame's got some other motive besides money.
Psycho. Some kind of a sadist, maybe.
Yeah.
Find out what you wanted, Sergeant.
Yes, we did. Thanks, nurse. What'd the doctor say about Maloney? Is he going to be all right?
Well, he had a severe beating, but he'll get over that all right. It's the bullet wound in the back.
He'll recover, won't he?
The bullet shattered part of the spinal cord. There was nothing the doctor could do.
Yeah?
Paraplegia. He'll never walk again.
We left the county hospital, went back to the office, and got out a local broadcast for the woman whose mugshot Maloney had partially identified. Her name was Beverly Allen. She had a record of 3 arrests and 1 conviction of 240 PC, assault and battery. After we checked in the office, we went across the street to the crime lab. Lee Jones had already examined the bullet taken from Maloney's spine and the cartridge casing found at the scene of the shooting. Both of them bore the same markings as those which had wounded the 2 previous victims. From the striations, the gun had been previously identified as a .45 Colt. Maloney's car was examined. We found nothing. We went back to the city hall and checked in at the stats office. It was 8:35 p.m.
Hi, Ethel. Make that run for us yet?
Just a minute, Sergeant.
How you coming, Ethel?
Fine, here. Same old run. Went back 7 years on this one.
Yeah, that's right. Did you get any more names?
A few. Let me check the list for you.
All right.
You wanted the names and DR numbers on Caucasian women. 5 feet to 5 feet 8, 115 to 130 pounds, 20 to 30 years, blonde or brunette, assault and battery, M.O. Hitchhikes, rides, and robs drivers, uses gun.
Yeah, that's it.
Here's what the machine turned out, 19 of them.
Good.
Here are the names. The DR numbers opposite each one.
Fine. Is there any new name?
And more than the last time. Anything else for tonight?
No, that's it for now. Thanks a lot, Ethel. Let's go. Bad start.
How's that?
17 of these names we checked and cleared already.
And the other 2?
Well, one's Catherine Collins. The other one's Beverly Allen. She might tie in.
We got nothing else to go on.
You want to get to the record bureau and pull the packages on these two names?
Yeah, okay.
I'll check robbery and see if we have any calls, huh?
Right, Joe.
Okay. Hi, Captain. Any calls for us?
Just one. Thad Brown wants to see you.
Oh, bad mood?
Kinda. Wants me, too. Let's go. That fellow Maloney tell you anything?
Nothing that helped much. Same old story. No reports on that broadcast we put out for that Beverly Allen?
Not yet? No. You banking on it?
It's first lead in 16 nights.
Here we are.
Walker, Friday, come in.
How are you, boss?
Sit down.
Thank
Take
you.
a look.
Woman bandit gets 16th victim. Beautiful hold-up queen robs, shoots restaurant worker. Yeah?
It's on the editorial page, too. Something else. Memo from the chief. Here, letter from the Downtown Citizens Committee. Another one, Civic Club. They all want answers.
Men are doing all they can, Chief. We got 2 other teams besides Friday and Romero working the case. Special squad from Metropolitan Division. They're on it, too.
I don't care what we've done. We got to do more. 16 nights, 16 robberies, and 3 shootings. 3 victims still in the hospital. When do we blow the whistle on her?
We checked out every possible lead, Chief. We got a warrant out on one suspect. We're checking out another one. Talked to that man Maloney, the one she got last night.
Well, what did he tell you?
Well, not much more than the other 15 that she took. Descriptions still don't match in one respect.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, in 10 of the 16 cases we've had reported, the victims tagged the girl hitchhiker as a blonde, long hair. 4 of them say she was a brunette with a short hairdo. 2 of them tell us that the girl had red hair, long.
She's using wigs. That's what we figured. We checked every place in town where she could have rented or bought them. No leads.
What about some of the bigger supply houses out of town?
We've started in checking them. It'll take a little time.
And you've got practically nothing on the woman.
Same gun, .45 Colt. Lee Jones examined the bullet they took out of Maloney's spine.
How's he doing?
Oh, not good. The bullet smashed his spinal cord. His legs are paralyzed.
When do we stop her? Yeah? Romero?
Hi, Chief. Captain.
What have you got?
Pulled the packages on 2 possibles in this woman holdup thing. It's no good, Joe.
Why not? What about that Allen dame?
Jail in Kansas City? I called him. Been in for a month.
And the other one?
Catherine Collins. I checked Seattle. Been in the hospital up there for the past 3 months in TB ward.
Where does that leave you, Friday?
Right back where we started. No leads and no suspects.
All right, Walker. Starting tonight, we cover every street and alley in the central area until we get that woman. We'll order up more men and more detectives from the Metropolitan Division.
Right, Chief.
Get out more decoy cars. Have the area covered from sundown till sunrise until further notice. Get that woman.
Right. Come on, Joe. In.
Yeah.
Hot shot.
I get it.
A 211 shooting at Gatewood and Cameron. A 211 shooting at Gatewood and Cameron.
Let's go. The name on his driver's license said William Gillespie. We found him 50 feet from the corner of Gatewood Alley and Cameron Street. His face and head bore the marks of a vicious beating. There was a single bullet wound in his left shoulder. He was conscious when we arrived. Chief of Detectives Brown, Captain Walker, and Ben checked the area for physical evidence. I spoke briefly with the victim before he was placed on a stretcher and carried to the ambulance. On the way, he lapsed into unconsciousness. I went over to where Ben was standing with Chief Brown and Captain Walker.
Take a look, Joe. Captain found over there near the lamppost.
Yeah.
45 shell casing, same as the others.
How's Gillespie, Friday?
Doc says he'll be all right. Badly beaten.
Tough dame. She really works him over.
Wonder what makes a woman do things like this.
What makes a man do it? William Gillespie was taken to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. The shell casing, which we had found at the scene, was taken to Lee Jones at the crime lab for examination. It compared with the others. Jones confirmed that the markings on the bullet, which had wounded Gillespie, matched those on the bullet which had been taken from Maloney's back. Both bullets had been fired from the same gun. The Dragnet operation for the woman bandit went on. The men in the special detail covered every street and alley in the central area from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following morning. During the next 5 days, 11 suspects were picked up and brought in for questioning and then released after the victims failed to identify any of them.
Well, at least we got her stopped temporarily. She hasn't pulled a caper for almost a week.
Yeah, that doesn't bring us any closer to her. I don't know about you, but it's got me beat. 17 jobs, and she's as free today as she was before she started.
Joe, Ben, what'd you find?
Nothing. The last 4 women we questioned were clear.
What about the other men on the case, Ed? Did they get anything?
Thaxter and Olson are down at the Record Bureau. Be in a minute. They've been out talking to some of the victims again. Tough one.
I've been thinking, how about a composite picture? We got enough to work with?
Artist in the crime lab's working up a couple of sketches now. A lot of guesswork.
What about the descriptions of the clothes the girl wears? Anything there we could start on?
No, other than the fact that she wears flashy clothes.
Hi, Olson.
Hi.
Any luck?
Not much. None of the victims have a very good idea what the dame looked like. Tall, good-looking, nice figure, that's all.
Nothing out of the ordinary, huh?
Well, some of them said she had kind of an unusual voice. Soft, low. That's about all they could remember.
There's not much help.
She's been described in 3 different outfits, is that right?
Yeah, green dress with a pink coat, white dress, dark blue jacket, bright red sweater, and a brown skirt. Always carries a dark brown alligator handbag. Shoes to match. No hat.
Not much of a wardrobe, is it?
Maybe that's why she took up robbery.
Now, look, let's get on this thing. We've been chasing this woman for almost a month now, and she's still got the run of the town. How long's it going to take us?
If we only had a lead that was worth something.
Find it. It's there someplace. I've never reached a thief yet without digging for him.
Now I'll get it. Robbery, Olson. Yeah. Right, Andy. I'll tell him. Anderson and burglar Joe wants to see you and Ben.
Thanks. Captain?
That's all.
Come on, Ben.
Yeah. I'd like a day off, wouldn't you? We'll get one when we get this dame.
Right, Ed.
This thing isn't doing much for the skipper.
It's not doing much for our time off either, is it?
That fire department's got the racket 24 hours on, 24 off.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they get 3 days off in a row.
That's what you keep telling me. Here we are.
Joe, Ben?
Andy, what do you got?
Checking back on a job out in Hollywood. Heard you were having troubles, came across this thing, thought it might help you out.
What's that, Ann?
One of the picture studios had a burglary about a month ago. Thief got in the wardrobe department, then next door into makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. Here's some of the stuff taken. Dress, coat. Oh, here, you can read it.
Okay, thanks. Mm-hmm. Red sweater, brown skirt.
Hey, look down here, Joe.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, yeah. Took 2 makeup kits and 4 wigs.
2 blondes, 1 redhead, 1 brunette. That's it.
Any leads on this job?
Oh, not so far, no. Only got one thing to go on, a single footprint, size 9.
Pretty large size for a woman.
I didn't say it was a woman. Print was made by a man's shoe.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
One of the most popular misconceptions of the working detective as offered by the fiction writers is the picture of a man with amazing talents for detecting evidence, analyzing human behavior and motives, and then, almost as if by magic, fitting all the pieces together to form the solution of the crime. The real-life picture is a little different. The working detective has a job. In a sense, it's a practical and down-to-earth job as baking bread or practicing law. It's his job to protect citizens and apprehend criminals, and it's a job he doesn't do alone. To assist him in collecting and analyzing evidence, he has the aid of the crime laboratory. To help him identify oddities in suspects or possible suspects, he has the Record Bureau, latent fingerprints, the statistician's office, the ballistics department. A battery of men and machines to aid him in reaching conclusions based on fact. Tuesday, October 9th, 9 p.m. For the past 8 hours, Thaxter and Olson from robbery and Ben and I had been requesting all of the 16 victims of the woman bandit. We asked them one question. Could their assailant possibly have been a man dressed as a woman? The majority didn't think so. Those that did weren't very sure. We followed the lead through. At 9:25 p.m., we checked in and headed down the hall for the stats office.
Do you think it was a man dressed as a woman?
I don't know.
1 male footprint. Pretty slim odds.
Maybe the machines here can tell us.
Hello, Sergeant.
Back again, Ethel. Can you make a run for us tonight?
9:25. Sure, I think so.
Now, here's the dope right here.
I'm going to try another angle, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. Male Caucasians. About 5 feet 8 or 9, 130, 235 pounds, feminine features, size 9 shoe, impersonating women, robbery, and assault.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Arm, .45 automatic. M.O.? Hitchhikes rides and robs drivers.
How soon do you think you can have it for us?
Well, I make the run on the collator. Have to punch up the master first with all this information and let the machine work the cards. I don't think I'll have it for you much before 11. That all right?
Fine, yeah. We'll check back a little before 11 then, huh?
They'll be ready.
Good. Come on, Ben. Did you call your wife after dinner?
Yeah. Wish I hadn't. She's mad as a hornet.
What's the matter?
Kid's having a birthday party tomorrow, and I forgot to order the cake.
What's she going to do for the party? Bake one?
She have to.
And she pulled this gun on me and told me to stop the car. Well, I'm telling you, Captain, I just grabbed that gun and slapped that kid just as hard as I could.
Hold it just a minute, will you, please, Collins? This man's name is Emil Collins. Mr. Collins is Sergeant Friday, Sergeant Romero.
Oh, yeah. How do you do? Oh, yeah. I was just telling the captain here, I'm down here on a vacation. I'm from Sacramento, South Sacramento. And I was driving down your Figueroa Street about half an hour ago and picked up this girl hitching a ride, and she tried to rob me.
Collins took the gun away from her, subdued the girl, and brought her in.
Where is she now?
Interrogation room. Thaxter and Olson are with her.
The description match?
Not too close.
Sounds like you didn't have too much trouble with her, Mr. Collins.
Well, now that I come to think of it, maybe I didn't. When she pointed that gun, I just grabbed for it and slapped her as hard as I could. Sure took the starch out of her.
Who is the girl? Any identification?
None. Thaxter and Olson haven't been able to get anything out of her. You want to try?
Sure.
What do you think, Skipper?
You tell me. See if you can make her talk. I'll have a stenographer take Mr. Collins' report.
Okay. Glad to meet you, Mr. Collins.
It's a pleasure. I'm only down here for a vacation, but if you need me, just call.
You bet we will, thanks.
How do you figure that one?
I don't know. Let's see what the girl has to say. Olson?
Joe, I want to talk to you before you go in.
Sure.
Did you finally get her to talk?
Well, Thaxter did. Pretty sure she's not the one we're after.
What's her story?
Said she read about this woman bandit in the paper, decided to try her hand at it, needed money.
Yeah?
Claims her husband left her. She's pregnant, needs the dough for a hospital.
She live here?
Up the coast, Monterey. Got in town 4 days ago, staying at the YWCA. We checked there. She's not lying.
You called Monterey?
Yeah, they confirmed it. She left there last Wednesday night. She's not the one.
Where do we go from here?
You'll take care of having her booked, huh, Olson?
Yeah, as soon as we get a station.
Okay, fine.
Friday, Ben, this way. Hustle it. You too, Olson.
What do you got, Ed?
4th and Lucas, 211 shooting. Let's go.
Any detail?
Yeah. A tall blonde with a gun. Come on.
The woman bandit's 18th victim was a truck driver. His name, Harry Reese. His story differed a little from that of the first victim. The woman was hitchhiking near Alvarado and 3rd Street. He gave her a ride. She robbed him at gunpoint, slugged him, and then shot him through the left shoulder. He described her as tall, blonde, attractive, and well-dressed.
Guess I should have known better. Remember reading about the dame in the papers.
You're sure that the person who held you up was a woman?
I don't get you.
What he means is you don't think it could have been a man dressed like a woman.
Oh, no, I'm sure of that. No guy ever looked that good to me.
All right, Mr. Reese. We'll check with you later at the hospital.
Okay.
What time? Let's get through, will you? Move side, one side, please.
We're keeping that truck cleared?
Yeah, Olson's got a couple of men watching it. He's going over it.
Same old story. Just another version.
Don't you think she's spreading it pretty thin? Her luck can't last forever.
It's got me beat, how she always manages to disappear without a trace.
Yeah. No, Ben, this way, over here.
Yeah, okay.
What do you got?
Better hustle it. 4 blocks down on the coal factory shooting. Just came in on the car radio.
Let's go. Slide over, Joe.
Yeah. Hit the sign, Ben.
Yeah. The crowd watching.
Right, Skipper.
That all that came over, Ben? A shooting?
All they said. See the cab driver, ambulance shooting.
She's working real fast.
What's the address for now?
3rd and East Flower Hotel. Hold on. This is it coming up.
Should be to the right here. Yeah, take a right. That must be it up ahead. I can't see. What's that sign say?
Edgemar Hotel for young women.
Here's a cab driver.
Office is right over here.
Hey, looks like blood stains to me here all over the sidewalk.
Yeah, I guess it couldn't have happened any more than 5 or 10 minutes ago. I had this fare. See, picked her up at 4th and Bixel, and I drove her here. She paid the fare and got out.
Yeah, go on.
I was about halfway down the block when I heard a shot. At least it sounded like one. And when I looked back, this dame was down on one knee near the door to the hotel here, and by the time I backed up there, she was gone.
And you noticed the blood, huh?
That's right, yeah. I figured I better call somebody.
Can you tell us what the girl looked like?
Oh, not bad at all. Blonde, tall, pretty girl, nervous.
But you didn't see where she went?
No, but I didn't.
I'll get the driver's name and address. Joe, you and Ben, see if you can follow that trail. Stuff's all over the place.
Right. Over this way, Ben.
Yeah. It's not hard to follow.
Down this alley between the buildings.
How does this figure?
Now, let's find out. Here we go. All the way back here. You got your flashlight?
Yeah. Here it is.
Yeah, this way. Come on.
This must be the rear of the hotel.
Now, look. The stains lead over this way to the back door here.
Let me try.
Okay, inside.
Still following?
Yeah. Careful. Up these stairs.
Yeah. Second floor. What's the matter? Did you lose him?
Yeah. Just a minute.
See anything?
Yeah. Stains lead on up the stairs here. Let's go.
I just happened to think. This is a woman's hotel.
And they ought to keep the back door closed. Come on. Third floor. Let's hold it.
What is it?
Thought I saw a door open down the hall.
Did you see anybody?
No. Let's go. This way.
It's an easy trail to follow.
Now, this is it. They stop here at this door. That doesn't sound like a woman.
Yeah, you ready?
Now, try the door first. Easy.
It's locked.
All right, come on. Together now. Let's hit it.
Now, watch it, Joe!
All right, you.
I got the gun.
Yeah. Oh, we found what we came for. Look.
Still got the clothes on. Blonde wig, makeup, everything.
Please, help me. My leg. Call an ambulance.
It's on the way. Take it easy.
Have a look, Joe. The wigs, full makeup kit, clothes, living in a woman's hotel. The works.
It was an accident. You never would have got me. I dropped the gun. It went off. You never would have got me.
Yeah, that's right, mister.
It was an accident.
You better get the boss in here. I'll stay with Glamour Boy.
Yeah, okay.
And Ben.
Yeah?
Leave the door open, will you? House rules.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 14th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 79, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. James Harold Sutter, alias the Bandit Queen, was tried and convicted on several counts of assault with attempt to commit murder and robbery of the first degree. He was sentenced to the term prescribed by law. While serving his time in the state penitentiary, he was stabbed to death by another inmate. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Hear Morton Downey tonight on NBC.
Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment.
Broadway's My Beat, from Times Square to Columbus Circle. The gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, the thrilling drama of murder and mystery and the people who walk the Great White Way, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Here's a taste treat you can enjoy indoors, outdoors, at work, or at play. The cool, long-lasting mint flavor refreshes you. The smooth, steady chewing helps keep you fresh and alert. Adds enjoyment to whatever you're doing. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious. At
At twilight, the solitude that is Broadway's leans against an open door and abandons itself to the cooling fingers of the evening wind. And in that moment, in the scalpel light of dusk, Broadway stands revealed. The languid preening, the slow smoothing away of the day's wrinkles, the invitation, not whispered, not spoken. At headquarters, the image blurs because a slip of paper has been laid on your desk. And this is how violent death announces itself. In the barrio, it says, in Spanish Harlem, a man knifed. And through the window, you can see Broadway smile. In the barrio, death is no stranger. It calls often. But this time it danced a variation. It chose to perform in a storefront, in a place of worship. There are many such in the barrio. The rented store, the rented wooden chairs, the bare platform draped in black banners, lighted with candles of many colors. And this is the altar. Here women in black mantillas kneel with their men in supplication. And the music of their prayer, primitive. But now it's a lament for the man lying dead in their midst. They kneel in a circle about him, and the light of the candles caresses his face. A man leans against the wall watching them. It's a man you know, Johnny Parada, detective on the barrio beat. He sees you, walks over to you, speaks gently, quietly.
This is a new kind for you, isn't it, Danny?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is how it goes here in the barrio. You grub, you pray, you die.
The dead man. Know him?
No, I do. Before that, he was just another face you said Buenos Dias to. Now there's a knife in his back that makes me know him better.
Who was he?
Emilio Ramirez, a kid, lived in a tenement on 99th. Well, here's the address. I found it in his wallet.
Yeah. How?
These people tell me they were having their evening prayer, like Vespers. Emilio staggered in from the street, cried out for his mother, and died.
Any ideas?
A few, maybe. Some leads, maybe.
You'll work this with me, huh, Johnny?
Sure, but maybe it'd be better if I took it alone for a while. They know me up here, Danny. I grew up in this. Maybe if you...
Yeah, it's okay. You go ahead.
Thanks. I'll keep in touch. If I get anything, I'll get you right away.
Good. These people...
You'll have a hard time getting anything out of them, Danny. Who kills, who murders, it's a secret they keep to themselves for their own. They have to keep on good terms with death. Yeah. So long, Danny.
After Johnny Parada left, there was nothing to do but wait. Wait and watch the small island of light in the room define itself against the darkness bleeding in from the streets. Then the siren and the men from police headquarters, whose job it was to measure time and method of death. And later, the two men with the basket. They were skilled workers. They didn't need me. The tenements on 99th Street were special only by the special arrangements of garbage cans at the curb. But the dogs that sniffed at them had the universal quality of hunger, red-eyed and ribbed. They moved slowly. The people sitting on the steps gave this moment of their lives to complete the pattern of quiet despair. They watched their kids wink at each other and slink into alleys. One of the watchers at number 8812 could speak English.
Senor?
My name's Danny Clover.
Si?
From the police.
I'm Contreras from this place here. And so?
There's some questions, Mr. Contreras.
Questions? Por favor, what questions?
A boy that lived at this address, Emilio Ramirez.
Emilio? And so?
He's dead. He died a little while ago. Did you...
Si, senor, I heard what you said. Emilio is dead.
I want you to tell me what you can about him.
Muerte. Muerte.
¿Qué?
Emilio Ramirez, muerte.
Oh, yeah.
Muerte.
It's important that you tell me what you can.
Oh, Emilio is of all of us. From Puerto Rico on a plane to here is what of Emilio?
I'll need to know more than that.
What more? What is there more?
How long have you known him?
A year. That long, I think. He lived with the six of us others in the two rooms. Hidalgo, Pablo, Quesada, Bianco, Flores, and myself.
What else?
Sometimes we eat together. Sometimes we talk together. Sometimes we drink together.
And the others who lived with you, would they know more?
No, senor. I doubt. What can we know of each other? To eat and drink, as I say. More time than that we must spend looking for what we came here to look for.
You said Emilio came here by plane.
See. Like all of us. For $40. That was arranged by the Travel Bureau. By Senor Clark. You know, senor?
No, what?
In the barrio, Senor Clark arranges everything. Hey, Senor Clark.
Understand what I'm saying to you, Martinez?
Si.
I don't think so, but you will soon enough. It's a job, busboy, dishwasher, whatever they tell you to do. Take this slip of paper. Don't lose it. I've written my name on it. That's all you'll need.
Si, senor. Comprendo.
Nothing else, Martinez?
Gracias. Gracias, Senor Clark. Muchas gracias.
Sometimes they forget. A little thing like a thank you. Now you're next.
I'm from the police.
Oh. Why do you police come to me so often?
Maybe because you arrange things. Remember?
Look around you. Look at them sitting there, silent, waiting for a job, for a letter from home, for something they can't even express. I'd be less than nothing if I didn't do what I could for them, wouldn't I, Mr. Your name?
Clover.
Wouldn't I, Mr. Clover?
You do well. Travel bureau, job placement. What else?
Everything. They pay me to fly them up from Puerto Rico. That gives me a responsibility because they've made me rich. Why they come here?
What'd you do for a boy named Emilio Ramirez?
Ramirez Emilio. I'll have to look it up. There are so many.
Look it up.
Of course. Here we are. Seems I did a good deal.
Like what?
My agents arranged his passage in Puerto Rico. When he arrived, I found him a place to live. In 2 weeks, he came to be hungry. I arranged a place for him on the relief roads. It's all down here on the file, Mr. Clover.
You didn't get him a job?
I'm afraid Emilio wasn't fitted for much. Not in our civilization. But I found a place for him.
Where?
The Casa of Lady Luck.
The gambling joint?
Oh, you could call it that, in a sense. It's a place where they make love potions, success pills, miraculous powders, things like that. They flourish here in the barrio. Nights like this. Gambling joint.
Where is it?
On 96, where the railroad tracks come out into the open. Ask anyone in the barrio. They'll direct you. Now, may I ask a question of you?
Go ahead.
Your interest in Emilio Ramirez. Why?
He's been murdered.
Oh? You'll understand why I show no grief, Mr. Clover.
No, but tell me anyway.
Isn't the parent, the barrio? So often they don't know how to deal with things, so they murder. It's a child's way, isn't it, Mr. Clover?
You wouldn't know about Emilio's dying.
The girl, a bad death, a sudden passion to kill. He was knifed?
Yeah.
Typical. And now, if you'll permit me, a glance at my calendar shows that at 9 o'clock I have an appointment at my barber. I must tell these people they'll have to wait or come back tomorrow. You'll permit me?
It was a few minutes after 9 when I reached out for the door into the Casa of Lady Luck. What stopped me was a sign that said, closed. Start off tomorrow with luck. Come back. Then to my desk at headquarters. I knew it was going to be tough. Puerto Ricans, citizens, but a strange people with a strange tongue, shy and afraid of authority. With silence their only defense against the disappointments of having paid $40 for a new life. Johnny Parada said it. The sudden death among them was something they wanted to own themselves. As a policeman, I was an intruder. Or as Sergeant Tartaglia broke it to me.
You're a stranger here, Danny.
I am?
Yeah, I know. I got the reports, but you could have called in. Can we go out for supper now?
What did the reports say?
Nothing.
The reports were blank sheets of paper.
Or just that the boy's name was Emilio Ramirez, that he died from a knife wound, that the weapon was a switch knife. You know, press a button, blade comes out.
Follow up?
Nothing, except that the boy has never been in trouble before, was on relief at one time or another, but seemed to be anxious to secure a position.
Anything else?
Yeah, Danny, the phone's ringing.
Oh, it really is. Danny Clover speaking.
Danny, Johnny Parada.
Well, what do you got, Johnny?
I'm not sure, but something maybe.
Like what?
I'm going to need some help. Can you get down here? 101st and Park Avenue.
Right away.
Make it right away, Danny. Maybe we can wrap this whole thing up.
Senor. No, thank you.
See.
You waiting for someone, senor?
Huh?
It's a nice evening to wait for someone. It's such an evening for the wine, for the muchacha.
It took time to piece it all together. The turn of the head from the man leering over my shoulder, the sudden, swift cry of terror, and the body flung from the car, the darts of flame from the machine gun thrust out of the car's window at the huddled shape. I ran over to him, to Johnny Parada. The bullets had torn a frantic design in his body, left it lifeless. When I looked up, the people, the sounds had fled. There was only the emptiness, silence, the street of the barrio. The street of the long darkness.
To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. The lively, full-bodied, real mint flavor cools your mouth, moistens your throat, freshens your taste. And the chewing itself gives you a little lift, helps you keep going at your best. So for real chewing enjoyment that's refreshing and long-lasting, always keep Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. Healthful, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Gum will make every day more enjoyable. We now continue with Broadway's My Beat, written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin and starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
In the heat of July, Broadway is a shimmering mirage. It's the time of the Big Wish. The Catskills and Coney are the dreamlands at the cooler end of the thermometer. And Jones Beach and Rockaway stand just over the horizon and beckon. And you linger under the marquee of the theater that's 20 degrees cooler inside, or dawdle over the potato in your cold plate of borscht. Wonder what it was about the summer that you wished for in December. Everything sweats on Broadway. Even the newspaper turns moist in your hands. Murder in the barrio, 2 of them. Emilio Ramirez and a cop named Johnny Parada. There was another cop named Danny Clover who'd been nearby at both of them. Me. The next morning I went back to Spanish Harlem. And death still hung heavy.
Yes?
Leaned close to Maria Parada and whispered to her.
Oh, it's you, Danny. Please come in.
Thanks. Maria.
Oh, there's nothing, Danny, thank you. Nothing you can say or do. My husband's dead. Last night I gave him my tears. The touch of them will last a lifetime. Please sit down.
I just want to know.
Please. There's only one thing to do now. Find out who murdered Johnny, who threw him in the street to die.
Did he tell you anything about yesterday? Where he was going, what he had to do?
Yesterday was a day like any other day. Kiss in the morning when he left, and the hours in between of waiting until Johnny...
I'll get it.
Where's Maria? Who are you?
It's all right, Vincent. Mr. Clover's my friend.
By what right a friend?
Johnny was...
Mr. Clover is a policeman. Johnny's brother, Vincent.
Hello.
As a friend, we accept your condolences. As a policeman, you're not welcome here.
Vincent.
Simply to explain myself, Maria. Simply to give Mr. Clover and myself a basis for talking.
Don't you want to know who killed your brother?
That's not an intelligent question.
I got one thing to ask you, Vincent, as a policeman. What about Johnny? Did you see him yesterday? Talk to him?
Once, toward evening. Was in a hurry. On some foolish police business. To the casa of Lady Luck.
Oh?
Now, I ask one thing of you, since you come as a policeman. Get out. Leave us alone.
Maria detached herself from us, moved silently about the room, pulled down the shades, cut off the flow of dust-heavy sunlight. Then suddenly there was a black shawl on her head and the rosary beads in her hand. She knelt before an image of the Virgin Mary with the bleeding heart. Vincent moved quickly to her side, knelt too. There was silence. There was the click of the beads, and I left them. It had had been closed the night before. Now a loudspeaker hung over its doorway, beating out the violent promise, the fury dreams for sale to the people of the barrio. Casa of Lady Luck, the gilt-splattered sign said. Love, success, power, all yours, it said. Consult Madame Lou Lama. Wallpaper, hanging in strips on the walls of the Casa of Lady Luck, was pinned back of photographs of lady movie stars. On the counter were bottles and vials and paper boxes labeled with their mysterious potency and the price for each. And reigning over all of it was Madame Lou Lama, blonde hair in curlers and smoking a cigar.
Go ahead, chum. Look around for yourself. I'm sure there'll be something even you ought to have.
I don't think so.
None of us is complete, chum. None of us has got every little thing that's going to make us happy, so go ahead and look around. In this mess, there's a powder just for you.
I'm from the police.
Yeah? Well, you'll need something special. Hey, Tomas! Tomas!
Si.
Bring in a bottle of that stuff we got in this morning. We got ourselves a policeman.
Told you not to bother.
No bother, honey. Tomas likes doing little things for me. Don't you, Tomas?
Aquí.
Thanks, Tomas. You're a good, good man. Here you are, chum. Now, with this little
You have
powder...
another boy working for you, Emilio Ramirez. Tell me about him.
De nada, comprende?
Blow away, Tomas. I'll take care of it. You asked me about Emilio? Okay, I'm glad you did. He's dead. Outside of that, what do you have to know, chum?
Why he's dead? Who wanted him dead?
No sabe.
That's right, Tomas. We don't know, do we? All we know is Emilio was a good, good man like Tomas here who helped me. But Tomas don't get killed. We like it like that, not to get killed.
You were told to keep your mouth shut about Emilio?
Maybe. But don't ask us who, because no savvy, like it said. Many smart things are said in the barrio, chum.
Johnny Parada was here last night. Why?
Like you, questions, don't buy nothing. He kept us from closing for a while and blew away. Maybe he should have bought something, like a life pill, huh? Nuts, my cigar's out again. You got a light, chum? No? Give me a light, Tomas.
Hi, Danny. Hot, huh?
Yeah, hot to tell you.
Well, then why don't you turn on the fan? There. The cooling breezes to fan your feverish brow.
What do you got?
These, Danny. The paraphernalia from Johnny Parada's effects. Maybe you can break through the heat and glom onto something from them.
Well, let's see. Regular identification?
Uh-huh. Among other things.
This?
Yeah, it tantalized me, too. A list of 27 names. I counted all of them. Spanish sounding. Puerto Ricans, huh?
Yeah, probably. Here's one underlined. Name of Pedro Miro.
I already done it, Danny. Sent out a pickup for all of them.
You're getting better, Gino. And this.
Which I figure is nothing. A page from a desk calendar.
Yeah. And on the back, written Emilio Ramirez, arrived New York from San Juan, May 26, 1949.
Oh, that's Johnny's handwriting. I checked that, too. I don't want to overwhelm you, Danny. I just want you to know I checked.
On the back of a page torn from a desk calendar. Whose?
That I haven't been able to detect. Just that there's a notation against 9 p.m. on the calendar. That there was a barber's appointment at that time. Now, all we have to do is know who got shaved at 9 p.m.
You know something, Gino?
Huh?
I know who got shaved at 9 p.m. Open up. Open up.
Wait, close.
In the middle of the day?
Close.
Leave it like it is. Open. Where's Roy Clark?
Not again. Close.
Roy Clark, you work for him? Work?
See, what?
Your boss, where? Is he here?
No, not here someplace.
Maybe he's here. We'll look, huh?
No, look, not for me.
We'll look anyway, huh?
Oh, senor, please, it's bad to let you in.
It's all right. I'm from the police. What's your name?
Juan. Please, senor, I know nothing.
You can help me, Juan. Last night, were you here?
See, last night.
You knew Johnny Parada?
See, everybody know Johnny.
He was here last night talking to Clark.
No, Johnny not here.
Don't lie to the police, Juan. What happened between Clark and Johnny?
I swear, see, I swear Johnny not here last night.
This page torn from a calendar, Juan. It's from the calendar Clark has on his desk, isn't it?
No, sabe, no, sabe.
Listen, Juan, you clean his desk every day. It's his, isn't it, Clark's?
Please, I do not know what happened between them.
Tell me about it. Tell me.
Johnny come late after you. I saw them from back room there. He and Senor Clark, they talk. Johnny writes something on page from calendar. There is anger between them. Johnny goes. That is all I know, police. That is all I know.
Back room, huh? What's in it?
You cannot go in there. You cannot.
Open it.
No.
Give me the key. Give it to me.
No.
The room had been torn apart like someone hated it, torn it into little pieces. It had been done in a kind of mechanized fury. Legs ripped from tables and chairs, wooden files ripped from walls, and on the floor a litter of colored paper. I picked one of them up, a paper with numbers on it, and another, all of them, lottery slips. And out of the crazy pattern was an answer. Clark ran the Barrio lottery from this room.
Senor, they came, they smashed everything. They beat Senor Clark till he bleeded. Then they took him away.
Who?
I will not tell you.
Where'd they take him?
They hit me. They make me swear by my mother I will not tell.
What?
But I tell you. To a basement, empty house on corner 108th Street. You will not tell. I told you.
Fold your hands behind your neck, Mr. Clover. Do it. My authority, this knife at your back.
I made a big mistake, Vincent. I didn't figure you killed your brother.
Walk through the door. One of our lookouts saw you approach. Open the door. Down those steps. What do you think of it, Mr. Clover?
What there was to think about was a tension, an emotion etched against the peeling whitewashed walls. Men of the barrio sitting on orange crates, leaning against the rotting timbers, their attitude filled with the terrible silence of men who could pass down death. And in the center of the circle they shaped, directly beneath a light bulb strung from the ceiling, a man who held all of terror in his pleading hands. His name was Roy Clark.
Help me!
You know what this is, Mr. Clover?
Yeah, a kangaroo court.
Precisely. Now you'll understand why I didn't want a policeman to bother Maria. We handle such matters in our own way.
There have been enough killings, Vincent.
Just one more.
We can hold you for murder.
I know.
You're a policeman. You have a gun. Get me out of here.
You make a move, Mr. Clover, this knife will find your heart.
You're crazy. You don't know what you're doing.
We know. Putting a man on trial. Miro, come here. Take my knife, Miro. Hold it on Mr. Clover. If he moves...
You people, I've helped you. I'm your friend.
Weep, Senor Clark. Weep the tears you never shed for Emilio and for my brother.
Listen to me.
We've listened. We own our lives here in the barrio. Our jobs, our marriages, our pleasures. It gives you no right to own our dying.
You're wrong. I was Johnny's friend. Emilio's,
Vince,
too.
It's wrong to do it like this.
If you make a move, then Miro will kill you. Miro, you won a great deal of money in the lottery. See? You never got it.
Let me explain how
Silence! Emilio was your runner, so you killed him, so no money would have to be paid out, so the winner of the lottery would never know from whom to collect.
No, it wasn't...
And Johnny Parada, my brother, murdered him because he knew of this. Friends! Muerte. You have to die, Senor Clark.
No! See, I beg you.
Get up.
Please.
Walk, Senor. Walk to the door and look at the outside. Look at freedom. Walk!
need for that, Vincent.
Johnny's gun, Mr. Clover. You may take it.
Clark would have died anyhow. The law would have seen to it.
Perhaps. I took no chances. Now I'll go with you, Mr. Clover.
Twilight touches Broadway now. It's the hour of going home, the subway hour of the tired faces, the time of the blue plate special. But soon is the instant when a man will dart from a doorway, beckon over his shoulder to another. Then the mob will gather and scream its heart out at the night. It's Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Remember, friends, to make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum. There's lots of cooling, real mint flavor in every stick. And chewing Wrigley Spearmint helps keep you feeling fresh and alert. You feel better, work better, get more fun out of doing things. So indoors, outdoors, wherever you go, keep some healthful, refreshing Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to delicious Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum. The makers of Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you've enjoyed tonight's story and that you're enjoying Wrigley Spearmint Gum every day. We invite you to join us next week at the same time when Detective Danny Clover returns again with Broadway's My Beat. Broadway's My Beat, brought to you by Wrigley Spearmint Gum, is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed and conducted by Alexander Courage. The program is written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin, and stars Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover, with Charles Calvert as Tartaglia. Included in tonight's cast were Sarah Selby, Francis Cheney, Lou Merrill, Jack Crucian, Herb Butterfield, and Anthony Barrett. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a homicide detail. The life of a young woman is in danger. Anonymous letters and phone calls threaten her with murder. The notes bear the mark of a fanatic. Your job, stop him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, March 8th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Steed. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 6:45 p.m. when we got to Greenwich Street. Number 318.
Yes, gentlemen?
Police officer. I'd like to see Dr. Small, please.
I'm Reverend Small. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
Here, let me take your hats, officers. I've been waiting for you.
Oh, thanks. Oh, my name's Friday. This is my partner, Sergeant Romero.
How do you do? I'm glad to know you.
How do you do, sir? Hope we didn't interrupt your dinner.
Oh, no. The organist, Brother Reber, and I were just running over a few hymns for the service tonight. Would you come this way, please, into the parlor?
All right.
As I mentioned on the telephone, I'm not much of a detective, but I think something should be done about this matter as soon as possible.
Well, we'd like to get a few more particulars first, Reverend. When did you first find out about these threatening letters?
Sister Dorothy Wilson. I think I told you about her. She came here to the rectory and showed them to me. She told me she's been getting them for the last 4 days, and phone calls, too.
Mm-hmm. How long have you known this Dorothy Wilson? Is she one of your regular parishioners?
Well, she first joined my congregation about a month ago. She's been in regular attendance at our services ever since.
Is that the church next door, joining the rectory here?
Yes, that's right, Sergeant. Second Reformed Church of the Holy Book. I founded it here about 3 years ago, and I've been pastor ever since.
Have you ever had this trouble before? I mean, threats against the people who join your church?
No, never any trouble at all.
I wonder if you have those notes that Miss Wilson's been receiving, Reverend?
Yes, right here at my desk. Let me see, Yes, here are the 5 Sister Wilson got. And here are the 2 that I received.
Wonder if I could look at them.
Yes, surely. Here you are.
Thank you.
Oh, would you excuse me for a moment? It's about time for Brother Reber to get over to the church. I'd better tell him.
Certainly, Reverend. Didn't mean to hold you up.
No, not at all. I'll be back in just a moment.
All right, sir.
What do they look like, Joe?
Yeah, let's see. Postmarks here are March 4th, 5th, 7th, 8th. Come from different places around town, according to the postmark. There's Long Beach, a couple from Azusa, Glendale here. No return address on any of them. This notebook paper looks like to me this one. Isn't it to you?
Yeah.
And there's this other one here. Looks like some kind of wrapping paper. The writing's not too bad. Let's see. According to the postmark, this is the first one they got, I guess.
Let me see. Dorothy Wilson, you are a sinner and you have led a sinful life. Yet you have the nerve to come into our church and make believe you're a Christian. Spelling sure is bad.
Yeah.
I have been coming to our church for a long time, and it is an outrage to have you praying in our temple. If you don't get out and stay out, I'm going to make sure you're taken care of for good. Look outside.
Sister in the Lord.
Must be some kind of a fanatic. We better run all these through the crime lab.
Yeah. This one, maybe. It's typewritten. Well, here, you read it. It's dated March 6th.
Yeah, take this as a warning. Bring your sinful body to our church again, and your blood will run in the aisles. A life can be taken when God demands it. It could be yours.
Sorry for the interruption, officers. A few things I had to remind Brother Reber of.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen all the letters?
Well, we're just checking them over, Reverend.
It's certainly a terrible thing for our church. I hope we can keep the matter as quiet as possible.
Yes, sir. I noticed the 2 different signatures on these notes. Now, half of them are signed, a sister in the Lord.
Yes.
And the other half are signed, it's Brother D.R. Griswold.
Yes, that's right. The first letter I got was from this Brother Griswold. His are the typewritten ones.
You know anyone in your congregation with that name, Reverend? D.R. Griswold?
No, I checked over my list of regular parishioners twice. If there is such a man, I don't know of him.
Well, we can run that name through R&I anyway, huh, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any suspicions at all, Reverend?
What do you mean, Sergeant?
Well, I mean, can you think of anybody in your congregation who might possibly resent this Miss Wilson's joining your church, maybe?
Well, no, I haven't had an opportunity to think it over in that light, but I can't imagine anybody in our group writing letters like this.
What's her background, Reverend? Do you know much about her?
No, she's a quiet girl. She's very religious. Works as a stenographer at an office downtown. Helps support her mother.
Will she be at church tonight?
Yes, she's here already, helping to set up the chairs for the service. Why, would you like to talk to her?
Yes, sir, if we could.
All right, let's go over to the church. There's still half an hour before services begin.
We're fine. I'll have to take these letters along with us, Reverend. We want our handwriting man to check them over?
Yes, by all means. That manila envelope on the desk, you can put them in there if you like.
Thank you. This one here?
Yes.
Okay.
This way, officers.
How many members do you have in your church, Reverend Small?
162 regulars. Another 100 or so on the fringe. They attend only occasionally.
You mentioned that this Miss Wilson's had threatening phone calls, too.
Yes, that's what she told me this afternoon.
Man's voice or a woman?
Well, Sister Wilson said both. The phone calls usually follow each letter. They identify themselves the same way, Brother Griswold and a sister in the Lord.
Have you received any calls from them?
No, I've been half expecting them, but I haven't had any yet. Here, shall we go in?
Please.
Here we are. Our seating arrangement's still temporary. We hope to have pews installed next year.
Uh-huh. Nice church.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, there's Sister Wilson. She's helping set up the chairs. If you'd like to wait in the choir's dressing room, I'll bring her in there to you.
All right, thank you, Reverend. Let's go, man.
This one, Joe?
Yeah, this is it.
Ought to open a few windows in here. It's musty.
Yeah. What time do you say the services start?
7:30. It's 5 minutes past 7 now.
Officers?
Yes, sir.
Officers, this is Sister Dorothy Wilson. Sister Wilson, Sergeant Friday.
How do you do, ma'am?
Hello.
And Sergeant Ramirez.
That's Romero.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sergeant Romero, Sister Wilson.
Hello.
Glad to know you.
I guess you want to speak with Sister Wilson alone, do you?
Well, we'd like to have you stay if you would, Reverend. Wonder if there's someplace where we could sit down.
Yes, certainly. Right over here in the anteroom.
Fine. Yeah, this will be fine.
Now, Sister Wilson, there's no need to be afraid. These officers are here to help you and to protect you. See that nothing happens.
Yes, Brother Small.
Hold fast in the faith of the Lord, and you shall not fear.
Yes, I will. You want me to tell you all about it, Sergeant, how it started?
If you please. Say, is it all right to smoke in here?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Anyone care for a cigarette?
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
Ben?
Not right now.
Okay, I'll leave it back there if you want it. We've already looked over the letters that you received. The Reverend here told us that you got the first one last Friday. Is
Yes, that's right. I've gotten one each day since then. Phone calls, too.
Did you recognize the voices making the calls?
No, I didn't know them at all. The woman's voice was very rough. Sounded like she might be old.
Mm-hmm.
She said some terrible things about me and Brother Small. She called both of us terrible names. Awful.
The same with the man who called?
Oh, yes, sometimes he's even worse. None of the things they say are true, Sergeant. Not one word.
Well, I'd like you to think carefully before you answer this, Miss Wilson. Is there anyone at all that you know in your neighborhood, or here at church or at your work, who might be doing this? Maybe somebody that you knew a few years ago, some acquaintance?
Ever since it's happened, I've been trying to think of someone. I don't think I've ever met anybody who'd do this kind of thing.
Well, how about a former boyfriend or a girlfriend who might be jealous of you for some reason?
No. I did have quite a few boyfriends, just casual dates, nothing serious. They were always taking me out, dancing and out to parties. We went everywhere, but I was never interested in any of them.
Well, were any of them upset when you stopped going out with them?
A few of them were angry when I wouldn't marry them, but I don't think any of them would write those kind of letters. Do you think the whole thing might be some kind of a joke someone's playing?
It's a pretty grim joke to go this far. Do you live by yourself, Miss Wilson?
No, with my mother, but I don't want her to know anything about this.
Well, I think it'd be wiser if you told her.
No, she mustn't know. Mother's been ill lately, and if she found out, it might upset her an awful lot. She's not well at all.
Help yourself to some of the water there, gentlemen. Miss Wilson?
Yes, please, I would.
All right.
Thank you.
There you are. Anybody else? Reverend?
Yes, please.
Ben?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yourself. How about some of the church members, Miss Wilson? Have any of them been at all unfriendly to you since you started coming here?
No, I don't think so. A few are pretty hard to get to know. They're shy, I guess. But none of them have been uncharitable.
Then you don't think the threats are coming from anyone in the church?
Well, if they are, I don't know who the person is. The way they say all those rotten things about me. They call me a sinner and a bad woman. Well, I guess I'm a sinner, like all of us are, but I'm not a bad woman. I'm going to church because I want to be born again of the light. But I've never killed anyone, and I've never been a bad woman. You believe me, don't you, Reverend?
Yes, of course I do. Now, don't get yourself all upset, Sister Wilson.
You think that's why they want to murder me, because I'm a sinner? You think that's why?
Please, Sister Wilson, try and get your mind off of it.
If they want to kill me because I'm a sinner, then why don't they want to kill all the sinners?
Well, we're going to have a lot of homicides if they try. "10 p.m. Together with Sergeants Raines and Bechtel, we tailed Dorothy Wilson to her home. She parked her car at the rear and went inside. A stakeout was placed on her house.
The next morning, we took the threatening letters which the Wilson girl had received and asked Don Meyer in handwriting to check them over. During the next 5 days, we checked thoroughly into the background of Dorothy Wilson. We talked to her relatives, her employers, all her friends, past and present. We had no good reason to suspect any of them. We checked out the people at the church, and they were clear. Both Reverend Small and the Wilson girl continued to receive more threatening letters. Some of the language and the accusations were pretty foul. Still, no outward attempts were made on the life of the Wilson girl. A week after we started on the case, we tallied up our findings. They seemed to make sense. We talked it over with Raines in the squad room.
Don Myers checking those letters and a sample of the Wilson girl's handwriting, isn't he? What's he got to say?
The letters written in longhand are signed to Sister in the Lord, and the typewritten letters are signed Brother D.R. Griswold.
Yeah, I know that.
Don says all the letters were written by the same person.
How's he figure?
Well, similarities in phrasing, same mistakes in spelling, typewritten and longhand both. Signatures on the Griswold letters match the handwriting in the other letters.
No, they were only dealing with one suspect.
And Don Meyer seems pretty sure of it, yeah.
Well, how does the Wilson girl's handwriting check out?
He's working on that.
Where does that leave us?
You've been on stakeouts at the Wilson girl's home a few nights. Haven't you noticed anything peculiar about the setup?
How do you mean?
Something that didn't fit, something that didn't quite jive?
No, I don't think so. Well, just that business about her car, I thought that was a little out of line.
Yeah, it struck us the same way.
Girl always seemed frightened enough about the situation when she's around us, but when she thinks she's alone, it looks to me like she takes it a little differently.
Yeah.
Every night when she drives home, she parks the car in that dark garage. Must be at least 50, 75 yards from her house.
Yeah.
I've never seen her look particularly nervous and taking that long walk to her front door.
Well, sure, the normal reaction for a frightened woman would be to park the car right in front of the house and then hurry inside. She hasn't done that once.
How about all those friends of hers you guys checked out? Anything there?
Well, we've been staked out at her house, at the church, and at work. You know that. There's not a thing. Checked with some of her ex-boyfriends, too.
Nothing there?
Well, the Wilson girl told us that some of the boys had proposed to her. We couldn't find one who'd admit it. They all said she was a nice girl, but they didn't propose marriage.
Those threatening phone calls are another thing. Both the pastor of the church and Dorothy Wilson got letters, but only the girl received a phone call.
Yeah.
Well, logically, if the Reverend got the letters the same time as the girl, he should have been getting phone calls, too. He hasn't received the one.
Well, it could be accidental. Whoever wants to kill the girl might figure the Reverend would recognize his voice.
Well, it's possible, but you remember that story that the Wilson girl gave us about her mother. Remember that? She didn't want her to know about the letters because her mother was sick. Well, we checked with her mother's doctor, and Mrs. Wilson hasn't been sick in 5 years.
Yeah, how about that? What do you figure?
I think the girl's a fake. Everything we knew about the case of Dorothy Wilson, everything we'd learned through questioning and observation seemed to point to one definite conclusion. Dorothy Wilson, for one reason or another, was writing the threatening letters to herself. As for the warnings that she got over the telephone, we only had her word for it. We took our findings to Captain Steed and laid out the case for him. He directed us to stay on it for a few more days until we could find enough evidence and testimony to prove out our theory. The following day, Dorothy Wilson received a letter more threatening than any of the previous ones. Reverend Small also received a copy of the same letter. Again, Don Meyer's opinion was that they were written by the same person.
Hi.
Raines, what's doing?
I don't know. Boys got any new theories?
What do you mean?
On the Dorothy Wilson case.
Do we need one?
Well, I don't think your old one's going to hold up.
Why? What's the matter?
She's at Georgia Street.
Yeah?
Somebody tried to kill her.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
As soon as we got the report that Dorothy Wilson had been attacked by an unknown assailant, we drove to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital where she was being treated. Anderson and Bechtel from Homicide were standing by. We talked to the doctor, who told us that the victim had no serious injuries. She had 2 slight bruises on her upper arms and a slight bruise on her forehead. She complained of a headache. While the doctor made out his report, we questioned the Wilson girl. She told us that she'd gone to the Church of the Holy Book at 6 o'clock that night after work. She told us that she wanted to pray before the start of the regular service at 8:15 p.m. We asked her exactly when and where the attack occurred.
At about 6:30, I felt a little tired. I told the officers on duty at the church I thought I'd get a little rest before services started, and then I went into the ladies' dressing room and laid down. That's where it happened. It was terrible.
Did you see the person who tried to hurt you?
No. I was lying down with my eyes closed, and he must have come up from behind. Put his hands around my throat and started to press tight. It was awful. just awful.
What happened then, Miss Wilson?
Well, I fought as hard as I could. I kicked and scratched him, and I guess I hurt him because he let go of my throat for a minute. After that, he pulled me down on the floor. I remembered that. And then he put his hands around this part of my head like this.
Mm-hmm. The other officers told us that one of the choir members, Mr. Sherman, found you unconscious in the choir room. Is that right?
Yes. Whoever it was who wanted to kill me, they put a gag in my mouth and blindfolded me, then tied my wrists together with tape. That's how Mr. Sherman found me.
How long do you figure you were unconscious then?
I don't know. It was about 6:35 when I laid down in the dressing room. Mr. Sherman said he found me there at 20 minutes past 7.
And then you were out about 45 minutes, is that it?
I suppose so. I don't remember anything.
Well, what makes you think the person who attacked you wanted to kill you, Miss Wilson?
That's what they said in the letters, isn't it? They want to kill me for coming to church?
Now, your purse and everything that was in it was scattered all over the dressing room floor. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. My money and everything scattered all over. I guess they wanted to rob me, too.
$52 in cash. Is that what you had with you?
That's right, a $50 bill and some change. I don't know why they didn't take it. Maybe something frightened them off.
It's possible.
The officers found some other articles scattered around the dressing room. A roll of tape, the metal box that the tape came in, and a half a dozen razor blades. Did you notice any of these in the dressing room before you were attacked?
No, none of them. I never saw them before. Those razor blades, officer, what do you think they wanted to do with them?
There's no use thinking about that now. It's all over.
I knew I'd be protected. I felt the spirit. I knew the holy light would protect me.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you find whoever did it, officer?
Well, this is just a hunch, Miss Wilson.
Yes.
I think we already have. Before we left Georgia Street, we talked to the doctor in charge and got a release for the patient. Dorothy Wilson agreed to drive back with us to the office to make out a crime report. On the way, she seemed to lose most of her nervousness. She was relaxed and she talked quite a bit.
Religion's a great comfort to me, Sergeant. I think it's a great comfort to anybody, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe I'm different from most girls, but I get an awful lot out of my church. It's like Brother Small says, you have to be born again of the holy light if you really want to live. Don't you think so?
That's right.
I don't know what I'd do if it wasn't for my religion. No, I used to have a lot of boyfriends. Of course, I don't care for any of them anymore, but when I was younger, they were always taking me out all the time.
Is that so?
Yes, I had a good time when I was younger, going out to dinner, dancing, parties. Fellas were taking me out all the time. Of course, that was when I was younger.
You're not much over 25 now, are you, Miss
I'll be
Wilson?
27 in August. That's pretty old for an unmarried girl, but I'm not worried. You get interested in more important things when you get older, isn't that right?
Oh, yes, that's right.
I remember when I was in junior college, how boy crazy I was. I remember that junior prom I went to. Seems such a long time ago.
Yeah.
I had the most beautiful white dress, Sergeant, with sequins. And the skirt was all white nap gathered in here at the waist, and it flared out real full.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the dance with one of the big football players. He looked so nice in his blue suit. His name was Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
I knew him for a long time. He's one of the fellows who asked me to marry him. I guess I was too particular. I just couldn't see any of them.
Would you mind if I laid out a few facts for you, Miss Wilson?
Well, not at all, Sergeant. Go ahead, please.
Now, I'm not trying to embarrass you in any way, but since we've been on this case, we've checked with just about all the friends that you've had in the past few years, and that includes your boyfriends, of course.
Oh.
None of the fellows that you've mentioned say they've ever proposed marriage to you. Say they've been out with you once or twice, but that's all.
Oh, well, you probably didn't talk to the right fellows. You probably got the names mixed.
No, ma'am, we didn't. We talked to the right people.
Well, I can't understand that.
Neither can we, Miss Wilson.
Well, what difference does it make anyway? I wasn't interested in them. I wouldn't have married them anyway. Going out and dancing, parties, that's all they were interested in.
What reason did you have for lying to us?
Parking in a car, necking with girls, trying to take advantage of them. That's all those fellas wanted. Some of the silly girls they married.
Well, I don't...
You discover a lot more important things when you get older, Sergeant.
No, I don't think that's the point. Why did you lie to us about it?
I don't know, really. Maybe I didn't have a reason. I just didn't remember right, I guess.
Well, you sure you remember right about what happened tonight?
What do you mean? It just happened. Of course I'm sure about it. Someone tried to kill me.
Might as well park on Spring Street, Ben. It's pretty clear this time of night.
Yeah, okay.
Sergeant, I wish you'd tell me what you're getting at. What are you thinking?
Well, there's still a few things that we're not too sure of, Miss Wilson. We'd like to clear them up.
What aren't you too sure of? I told you everything I knew. I was lying down in the dressing room and somebody tried to kill me. I told you all about it.
Well, you told us you were unconscious about 45 minutes, didn't you?
Well, yeah, 40 or 45.
No, we talked to the doctor at Georgia Street. From the way you described the attack, it would have been just about impossible for anybody to make you unconscious that long by pressing his hands against your head.
Well, but he hit me on the head, too. You can see the bruise here.
Well, yes, ma'am, I know, but that's very slight. The doctor says that couldn't have done it either. Just a minute, I'll get the door here. Let you out, Miss Wilson.
What else aren't you sure of?
Well, your wrists were taped individually. Now, if somebody wanted to restrain you, they probably would have taped them together, wouldn't they?
Well, I don't know what they would have done. All I know is they wanted to kill me. They said so in those letters.
We're not too sure of those letters either, Miss Wilson.
What? What aren't you sure of?
Where they're coming from and who's sending them? We do know they were all written with the same person.
How do you know that? They're signed by two different people.
Our handwriting man checked them over. He says they're written with the same person.
You might as well have it straight, Miss
If
Wilson.
we're going to talk, can't we do it inside someplace? Please, I'm tired.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I'll see if Leighton Fingerprints is finished with that stuff.
Yeah, I'll bring it along. If they are, we'll be in the interrogation room.
Yeah, all right.
This way, Miss Wilson.
A man I know used to be on the police force. Nice fellow. We used to go out all the time together.
Is that so? What's his name?
Well, that's funny. I don't remember. He's an awfully nice fellow, though. We used to go dancing every week.
Mm-hmm. Here we are. Go right ahead. I started questioning Dorothy Wilson, but she wanted to talk about everything except what concerned the case. Dean Bergman and Leighton Fingerprints had already checked each article that was found at the supposed scene of the crime. The Wilson girls' prints were all over them.
Did you write those threatening letters to yourself, Miss Wilson?
I don't understand. Why do you ask me something like that?
Did you write the letters to yourself?
You know that's not a fair question, Sergeant.
I don't know what you consider fair, but we'd like to know, did you write the letters?
Do you know what it is to pray, Sergeant? I mean, really pray?
What's that got to do with it?
I've been praying all my life. I've been praying hard. Ever since I was a little girl.
We'd like to have your answer our question, Miss Wilson.
I think you'll understand. This is the answer, Sergeant. I can feel the Holy Spirit in my heart. I know you'll understand.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been praying for an awfully long time, Sergeant. When I was a little girl, 6 years old, I was praying. Night and day I said my prayers, but there never seemed to be any answer. I never could understand it because I only prayed for one thing. I didn't think it was too much to ask.
What was that?
I wanted people to know me, Sergeant. I wanted people to know me and like me, that's all, but it never seemed to happen, even when I was a little girl.
Don't think I quite follow you, miss.
You've got to understand me. Nobody else does. From the time I was a little girl, 6, nobody ever seemed to care if I was around or not. I always tried to make friends, tried to make people like me. I tried very hard, but nobody seemed to care. Nobody even noticed me. Nobody ever noticed me.
You mean that's why you wrote those threatening letters to yourself, so that you'd be noticed?
I wanted somebody to care about me, that's all. I wanted them to know who I was. Dorothy Wilson. I wanted to walk down the street and have people nod and have them say, that's Dorothy Wilson. There goes Dorothy Wilson. Just for somebody to care, that's all, Sergeant. Just for somebody to care.
Well, then the whole thing's purely your imagination. You wrote the letters to yourself, and you pretended somebody attacked you. And all the rest.
God told me to do it, Sergeant. He told me to make myself noticed. To stand up and make people know me. I'm sorry for it now, but it didn't hurt anyone, did it?
Well, ma'am, you had an awful lot of people working for nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was so nice while it lasted. People looking after me, caring about where I went, what happened to me. It's the first time anybody ever really noticed me.
It was that important to you?
People knew who I was. Dorothy Wilson. They all noticed me. I feel better now that it's over. Oh, there's one thing I've got to tell you, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember driving here in the car I told you about that junior prom I went to?
Mm-hmm.
That time I had a beautiful white net dress with a full skirt, the beautiful new white dress.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am, I remember. What about it?
Well, it was really pink organdy, an old dress. I knew you'd find out. That's why I had to tell you.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to think I was a liar.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
In a moment, the results of the trial. Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
By her own admission, Dorothy Wilson was guilty of filing a false crime report, a misdemeanor. She was released into the custody of her mother. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases transcribed from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment.
Broadway's My Beat, from Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, the thrilling drama of murder and mystery and the people who walk the Great White Way, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Here's a taste treat you can enjoy indoors, outdoors, at work, or at play. The cool, long-lasting mint flavor refreshes you. The smooth, steady chewing helps keep you fresh and alert. Adds enjoyment to whatever you're doing. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious.
In the summer's heat, Broadway is a wasteland, sullen, a place of regret. It's a time when the breeze puffs in from the river, dies suddenly before it touches your dampened cheek. The time when you wake up already exhausted, then pause before your office door and consider arson. Broadway fans itself with a newspaper and finds fascination watching a fat fly crawl against a sweating window. The thing to do is give up, except you've got a job, except you've got to pay the rent, pick up the check, buy the beer, leave the tip, meet the installment. July or not, you've got to make a living, kid. For my part, I would rather have been at Jones Beach, but I wasn't. The apartment was expensive, but something had gone wrong. The upended furniture, the torn drapes, the slick paintings abstracted into crazy angles against the wall, the empty liquor bottles. The place was a mess, which included the man who nagged at me.
You've been doing nothing but walk around. Say something to me, so I'll know you're working.
I'm working, Mr. Chelsea. I walk around and observe and jot little things down in this little book, and that's what I get paid for.
You don't care, do you? What do you care if someone's been killed, slashed to death?
Show me a body, and I'll help you weep.
If you'd only listen to me. Stop walking around and hear what I've got to say.
All right? Go ahead, Mr. Chelsea.
Something's happened to Celia.
Celia Jordan, that's the name, isn't it? So I'll know.
Why don't you pay attention? Look at those spots over there. Blood. I'd say they were blood.
Drunks have a habit of getting themselves nicked. I can show you statistics.
Something's happened to Celia.
Mr. Chelsea, why are you here? What are you doing in this apartment? I asked you that 10 minutes ago, and you told me something's happened to Celia. What are you doing here?
I had a date with her tonight. I have one with her almost every night.
I see. Is this Miss Jordan's photograph? She's young, about 22, I'd say. But then I'm not very good on guessing ages. For instance, I'd say you were about 53.
51.
You see what I mean? I'm not very good about ages.
Something's happened.
Don't do that again, Mr. Chelsea.
Well, something has. And I know why, too.
Now I'll listen to you.
I've known Celia for 3 years. Met her at a banquet for my corporation stockholders. She was there because, well, if you must know, well, she was in a cake.
You met her in a cake, Mr. Chelsea?
Well, I pulled the ribbon that was attached to this big cake on the table, and Celia popped out.
That sometimes happens.
And it was just about this time that Cliff went away.
Cliff?
Cliff Moore. A boy that Celia used to know. He was in the Army, went overseas with the occupation forces 3 years ago.
I see. And you took over.
Cliff is back now. Celia told me. She said she saw Cliff on the street and he recognized her. But she didn't recognize him.
Oh? Why?
She found out Cliff was discharged for mental reasons. Something about he was hurt on maneuvers. Oh, I don't know.
You're trying to say that this Cliff...
That this Cliff has done harm to Celia. That's what I'm trying to say. What about those bloodstains? What do you think I'm saying?
It could have been nothing, or it could have been what the man said, a violence, unknown, unshaped, born and nurtured in the December love of the man for a woman. And finally, the violence assuming its pattern and its texture, the room torn in anger, the room empty of the woman, the room stained with blood. And the policeman has to make sure. He calls the men from technical, and they come with their scales and their rules and the sharp little knives. They scrape and measure and weigh. The blood is human blood. Does it equal death? And that's an equation a policeman has to solve. At the hotel where Cliff Moore lived, they told me he'd checked out. No, he hadn't left a forwarding address. And that meant an all-points bulletin on Cliff Moore and Celia Jordan. And in a few hours, a call from Detective Muggavan. A bartender on 3rd Avenue had recognized a picture of Celia Jordan. Would I care to come down and check? I cared.
Hi, Danny.
Oh, Muggavan, which one recognized the picture?
Charlie over there. Hey, Charlie.
Another sud's coming up, Detective Muggavan.
No, Charlie. Just you. No more beer.
What'll it be, Detective Muggavan?
This is Danny Clover, Charlie, the detective handling the case I was telling you about.
Oh, Charlie.
Well, I'm glad to know you, Danny.
Muggavan tells me you recognize Celia Jordan's picture. Was she in here?
Well, no, she was that. And not alone. With a man, and well, she might be. She's that pretty.
When was that?
Oh, yesterday, toward the cool of evening. In the twilight cocktail hour. They sat at that marble-top table with the romantic crack in its surface.
What time did they leave?
Oh, around 8, I'd say. They were hungry, went off to eat.
How do you know?
The girl was so pretty, I kept hovering around the table. That way, willy-nilly, I was forced to eavesdrop.
Were you forced to hear where they went?
Oh, I was indeed. To Matthew's, the steakhouse on 2nd Avenue it was.
You waited on this girl?
I'm certain of it. Of course, yes.
Was she with anyone?
She was. A young man. A nervous, temperamental type, I'd classify him. The way he handled his eating tools. The way he addressed himself to his food. All symptoms of a
How
highly
long were they here?
A modest time. They ate neither too quickly nor too slowly. Rather rare in these times.
How long?
An hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes. What does it matter, one way or another?
They left here around 10 o'clock.
Around 10 o'clock.
Did you...
Permit me to anticipate your question, friend. They left by cab. Yellow cab.
Yeah, I picked them up at a steak joint on 2nd. What's the matter? They committed something?
Where'd you take them?
To the girl's apartment on 63rd. Man tells me to wait. I wait. An hour and a half, 2 hours. My meter is abloom with money. Down he comes and spoils it all.
Alone?
All alone. I gather that they, What does it matter what I got? Anyway, I take the guy to the address he gives me.
Where?
The Suffolk Hotel on 71st. He committed something?
Yeah, come on in. Well, don't stand there. Come on in.
You're Cliff Moore?
I'll close the door and sit down, will you?
We've been looking for you, Cliff.
No, that's mighty nice.
The police.
Oh, I know what. The census taker missed me.
You know why we've been looking for you?
Gosh.
Huh?
I don't know you well enough, so I said gosh. That's because my cigarette just rolled off the table. Step on it now. Thanks. You were looking for me. Why?
Because of Celia Jordan.
She's coming back to me on bended knee, and she's rousted the whole police department to find me. Good, sweet, four-square Celia.
She's missing, Cliff. We found bloodstains in her apartment.
That guy, that Paul Chelsea, beat her up? Oh, I'll bet she had fun.
Cliff, we know you were with Celia last night. We know you took her home, spent some time in her apartment.
Swell.
What happened between you and her yesterday?
Walked and talked and sipped a few and had a steak. You know, boy and girl, hand in hand. The things magazine ads are made of.
What happened in her apartment?
Oh, sad time. She had a smile all rehearsed to drag out for the occasion. You're a nice boy, Cliff, and we did have fun, but you're broke. The best you can expect is $50 a week if you're your type of successful. Anyway, Cliff, there's the thing. She didn't know how to say it, so she called it the thing. She said it in capital letters.
About what?
I got a medical discharge from the Army because I'm a nervous boy. Post-war Germany made me nervous. Also a live landmine during maneuvers.
What else?
I don't know. So you can't find Celia, huh?
No, we can't.
Now, when you find her, let me know if she needs any help.
Sure. Don't run away, Cliff.
You kidding? I sit here and run away all the time. Because I'm a nervous boy.
on a tray, Danny. Nice surprise, huh?
Huh?
Come on, sit down, Danny, and I will cater to you.
In the name of...
Iced tea, Danny. Look, boiled hot water, courtesy the lab boys with their Bunsen burners. Cubes of ice, courtesy the deft hand of Gino Tartaglia, purloining from a water cooler. Tea bags, courtesy Mrs. Tartaglia, who is friendly with the friendly jewel tea man. Glasses, courtesy...
Gino, what have I ever done?
Well, you have been considerate and kind to me, Danny. So this is just a small token of the... Well, how do you want it? With or without lemon?
With.
The best way to fight the heat. Yeah, coming up, Danny.
Gino?
Yeah, I know. You want to know, is there any progress in the search for one Celia Jordan vanished? Possibly mayhem committed upon. Possibly deceased. Stop me if I'm wrong.
No, go ahead.
There is no progress. Anything else, Danny?
No, I guess there's nothing else, Gino. Oh, excuse me.
Certainly.
Thank you. Danny Clover speaking.
I understand you've been looking for me, Mr. Clover.
Who is this?
Celia Jordan.
Are you all right?
Not a mark on you, Mr. Clover, anywhere. Come see for yourself. You really should. It'll ease your mind.
But we thought... Where are you, Miss Jordan?
At the Amsterdam Hotel on 34th Street, room 2412. I'll be ready for you.
You see, Mr. Clover, I'm perfectly all right. My arms, my legs, my throat. I wore this sunsuit especially for you, so you could see I was all right. All over, I'm all right.
Miss Jordan.
Except inside. Since I called you, it's funny. Inside, it doesn't feel so good. Inside, it hurts.
Here, let me help you. Lie down here on this couch.
Thanks. You know something, Mr. Clover?
Don't talk. I'll go get a doctor.
No, don't go. It really hurts. It hurts bad. Don't go. Help me.
Even after death touched her, whispered to her eyes, pleaded with me. And the attitude of her body was a beggar's, contorted in pain, twisted in longing, grotesque with despair. And suddenly she could no longer reject it. And her body eased with the acceptance, was stilled because the poison inside her was stilled. Its shadow on her lips, in her eyes. The violence that had been marked for Celia Jordan was finally hers. Celia Jordan was dead.
Remember, friends, to make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. There's lots of cooling, real mint flavor in every stick. And chewing Wrigley Spearmint helps keep you feeling fresh and alert. You feel better, work better, get more fun out of doing things. So indoors, outdoors, wherever you go, keep some healthful, refreshing Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. We now continue with Broadway's My Beat, written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin and starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Summer begins its long dying, and Broadway reacts to the process about the same as anywhere else, with regret, with a smile and closed eyes. Except on Broadway, there'll be more things to remember, huh, kid? The evenings, just as twilight washed over you, and the lights on the translux flicker like fireflies, and dance out the dance of how it is to be at war in the summertime. And the cool evening breeze from the air-cooled movie, refreshing, till the newsreel sends out a cold wind, and you shiver and move to another place. Because in summer, a man needs something he can hold on to, something to latch onto, like the murder of that girl there in that hotel, in the sunsuit, poisoned, murdered, saying the last word she ever said into the ears of a policeman. And the next morning at headquarters, the policeman sits in his office, remembering her words, but finding in them no trace of a murderer's name. Then a door opens,
The voice that's welcome calls you,
Danny?
and it's Dr. Sinsky.
Danny, this heat, this inferno, can take the heart out of a man.
Well, sit over there by the window, Doctor.
Yeah.
Pretty girl might walk by and set a cool breeze in motion.
Dreamer.
Yeah, it's no good, huh, Doctor? We can't put it off, huh?
No, Danny, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I wish it could be just a chat, but man wishes and death. The report on Celia Jordan.
Poisoned?
You were right, Danny. The girl was poisoned. What kind doesn't matter much. What matters is that there was enough to kill her. What pain must have been hers.
How long?
Poison that takes maybe 3 hours to act with 5 minutes of terrible pain at the end.
Anything else, Doctor?
He asked me to examine her for a cut or a wound.
Well?
There was nothing, Danny. Her skin was not even scratched. Not even the shadow of a bruise. This is important.
Yeah, because it might give me her murderer. Excuse me, Doctor.
Muggavan here.
Danny, I want you to take a plant, Muggavan.
Okay, Danny, where? Who?
Suffolk Hotel on 71st. Cliff Moore.
First Cliff Moore. Got it, Danny.
This Cliff Moore, he murdered the girl?
Maybe, but I don't think so.
Oh? This is a day for riddles, huh, Danny?
No, Doctor. This is a day where I get a choice. I get 2 suspects for the price of 1.
Yes?
My name's Danny Clover. I'm from the police. Are you...
Mrs. Chelsea. You have the correct house?
Yes.
Well, then please come in.
Thank you. Mrs. Chelsea,
Sit down, please.
All right.
Yes?
I wanted to talk to your husband.
Oh, I'm afraid not. He's not home, you know.
I stopped at his office. He wasn't there either.
No, of course not.
Then where is he?
Oh, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. I really don't know where he is. The bother of it is...
Don't you care where he is?
Paul? My husband? Oh, no.
Mrs. Chelsea.
Is Paul in trouble?
Yes, he is.
I'll fix you a drink if you'd like.
No, don't bother. It's in connection with a murder.
Yeah, the one in this morning's paper. Celia Jordan's.
You know about her?
Paul doesn't think I do, but I know all about her. I'm fortunate. Some women never know why suddenly they come to hate the men they used to love. They blame it on routine, getting old, habit. So silly.
And you hate your husband.
Because of Celia Jordan. Has he murdered her?
Maybe. Maybe someone else. We'll find out.
Oh, I wouldn't suspect anyone else if I were you. That'd be stupid. Paul killed that girl.
He told you he did?
Well, as much as did that.
Oh?
I confess it. I listen in on his telephone conversations. He thinks I eat chocolates when I lie in bed. Oh, I do, but I listen to his conversations on the extensions. Not much fun, but then it's not much effort either.
What are you trying to tell me, Mrs. Chelsea?
That girl was blackmailing Paul.
Oh?
$50,000.
Was your husband going to pay it?
Well, he said he'd meet her at the Amsterdam hotel, but I know it wasn't to pay the money. Oh, my, of course not. $50,000, Paul?
And I guess he did commit murder if what you say is true.
Please understand me. I'm plump, I'm a henhead, I eat chocolate, and I sleep most of the day. I'm a woman in her late 40s, so I would lie. But not to help Paul. Not Paul.
Then you're glad your husband might be held for murder.
Well, I'll miss him. His not coming home when he usually does might throw my days off. It'll be an effort to get used to it, but on the whole, Mr. Clover...
Yes?
On the whole, I'm glad about it. Delighted. As a matter of fact, nothing nicer's happened to me in a long time. I'd like that drink, Mr. Clover, wouldn't you?
I said no thanks, which gave Mrs. Chelsea reason to pop a fruit-filled nougat in her mouth. She didn't offer me one of those, so I knew my time was up. I left. I checked Muggavan. Cliff Moore hadn't stirred, Muggavan told me. Then to find Mr. Chelsea. Back to his office. Not in. Try his club. I tried his club. Not in. Try the bar around the corner. Not there. So I went to a place without being told. The apartment where I'd first met Mr. Chelsea. Why, I reasoned, shouldn't Mr. Chelsea be there again? For the sake of sweet old nostalgia. The door was open. I walked in. The place looked better. Neat. Everything in its place. The pictures. Furniture. Mr. Chelsea. I knew it was him because once I'd noticed he was getting bald. The pattern of it was the same. But Mr. Chelsea had been battered, beaten with a fury that demanded a lot of pain get there before death did. The pain had made it. So had death. Now it gave me a new place to go.
Here, Danny. Here I am. Shade of this doorway.
Cliff Moore?
He's in his room in the hotel, hasn't stirred from it. What's the matter, Danny? You don't look good. Looks like more than the heat.
I just cut myself a murderer.
Oh?
Yeah, Paul Chelsea.
Well, that should make you look good. Anyway, better.
Those blood stains he showed me in Celia Jordan's room, they were his, from a cut under his arm. I saw it. I took the bandage off.
So why so gloomy? You got him.
He staged the whole thing, the room in a shambles, the blood stains on the floor. He figured killing was easier than paying blackmail. But he made a mistake.
What's the matter with you, Danny? Of course he did. So why?
Not that kind of mistake. He got himself beaten up. Beaten to death, but for sure, with an andiron.
Cliff Moore?
I think so. Go back to headquarters, Muggavan. I won't need you anymore.
Come in. Oh, it's you. You came back to me. I'm that interesting?
You are, Cliff.
Doctors find me so. Sometimes kids. And women. This I understand. But you, now that throws me.
You interest me because you're a murderer.
I am? Point of information. Who did I murder?
Paul Chelsea.
Oh, him. So why did I murder him?
A simple motive, an old one. You loved Celia. You beat Chelsea to death with an andiron because he killed your Celia.
Every minute I learn new things. This Chelsea, Celia's good companion. He killed her, huh?
I think so.
A puzzle. Why did this old Mr. Chelsea murder something young and precious and vibrant, like they say, like Celia?
You can answer that all by yourself, can't you, Cliff?
Yes, I can. He killed her because she was going to blackmail him. Did you know this whole blackmail thing was all my idea? Because I'm cynical and sick? The proud possessor of a medical discharge?
Let's go, Cliff. Stop it, Cliff. I said let's go.
Go on and hit me. There's nothing I could do to you, so hit me.
What?
Look at my hands, my arms. I can't lift them no more than that. That live mine I told you about, it fixed them like that. I can lift them maybe 4 inches. That's what makes me so interesting. That's how I can take an andiron and beat a man to death when I can't even open a door or lift a cigarette off the floor without crawling like an animal. You call me a murderer? Oh, thanks, Mr. Clover.
Oh, my. And I was just dozing off, too. What now?
May I come in, Mrs. Chelsea?
Oh, and I was just dozing off, too.
I have to talk to you.
Oh, please come in. Oh, I hope this won't take too long. Sit down.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, what now, Mr. Clover?
But Paul.
Oh, Paul.
He's dead.
Oh, you're silly.
He's dead, Mrs. Chelsea.
He is? Paul? What? Why, you're not kidding me. He really is, isn't he?
Uh-huh.
Well, you better leave me alone, Mr. Clover. The things I said about him, you won't believe me if I cry.
No, I won't.
Oh, I don't blame you. Please, please go away. Who killed him?
You don't know?
Who killed Paul?
It was this way. Your husband murdered Celia Jordan.
I told you that.
Because she demanded blackmail. Because she threatened to tell you about what Paul had been doing.
And I knew about it all the time. Errors. A comedy of errors. Tragedy.
The blackmail was a scheme whipped up between Celia and her boyfriend, Cliff Moore.
And this boy, this Cliff, he killed my husband.
Why should Cliff do that?
Why? Oh, my. You ask me that? A police?
Yeah, that's what I asked you.
Well, I think it's obvious, don't you? Paul kills his girl, Cliff shoots my husband.
I didn't say your husband was shot.
Oh.
Your husband was beaten to death.
Oh. Cliff beat him to death.
You know, I've come to know your husband working on this case, peeking into small corners of his life. He was a man I can understand. I feel sorry for him.
Tell me how, so I can feel sorry for him, too. I suppose I owe that to Paul.
The man is 50. He knows it, realizes that the rest of his life has to be lived. Something he wanted all his life and missed. Something like that passes close to him. He clutches onto it.
I don't understand you at all.
Something like a beautiful girl, a sympathetic girl.
Celia?
You can't really blame him now, can you, Mrs. Chelsea? After all,
He had his own home. He had me. What's wrong with me? Go ahead, tell me. I can take it. What's wrong?
You couldn't hold your husband.
Why? Why couldn't I hold him? Tell me why.
Celia Jordan, young, beautiful, warm. Her mind was lithe, young.
You filth, you like Paul.
Was kind to Paul.
Filth.
Something he wanted all his life.
Filth.
Something he didn't have with you.
Ah!
That's why you killed him.
Beat him and beat him and beat him until he was dead. He died too quickly. He wouldn't even give me that satisfaction. Filth!
Let's go, Mrs. Chelsea. When dawn touches Broadway, the shadows linger for one final caress, then leave and take away the night. A cloud drifts, and far away a bird dips and touches it with a wing. The time has come for the day. The people wake, the fury gathers. The crowd funnels into the streets. Walk easy, kid. The shock is on. It's Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Remember, friends, to make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum. There's lots of cooling, real mint flavor in every stick. And chewing Wrigley Spearmint helps keep you feeling fresh and alert. You feel better, work better, get more fun out of doing things. So indoors, outdoors, wherever you go, keep some healthful, refreshing Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to delicious Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum. The makers of Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you've enjoyed tonight's story and that you're enjoying Wrigley Spearmint Gum every day. We invite you to join us next week at this time when Detective Danny Clover returns again with Broadway's My Beat. Broadway's My Beat, brought to you by Wrigley Spearmint Gum, is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis with music composed and conducted by Alexander Courage. The program is written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin and stars Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover with Charles Calvert as Tartaglia. Included in tonight's cast were Irene Tedrow, Joyce McCluskey, Jack Crucian, Earl Ross, Jack Edwards, and Tom Holland. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A man crouches on the window ledge of a downtown building 13 stories above the street. He threatens to leap to his death within the hour. Your job, stop him. documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, September 6th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Steed. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from communications, and it was 1:28 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
You ready, Skipper?
Yeah, coming. Ben, what's up?
Just got the call, 3rd and Temple.
Yeah?
Fitzroy building, 13th floor. They got a jumper.
Friday, Ben?
Let's hustle it.
Right. What's the story?
Skipper took the call. Not much to tell. Guy's perched out on a window ledge, 13 floors up, threatening to jump.
Yeah?
What time you got, Romero?
1:33.
Not much time.
What?
The guy on the ledge, he served notice.
Well, how do you mean?
Says he's going to jump at 2 o'clock.
1:36 p.m. Ben pulled the car to a stop at 3rd and Temple. We double parked near the intersection and started across the street to the building on the northeast corner. It was a steel frame structure with a block granite facing. The stone lettering over the main entrance read, R.H. Fitzroy Building, 1927. The immediate area had been blocked off in all directions. The sidewalks directly adjacent to the building on 3rd Street and on Temple Street had also been cleared of all pedestrian traffic. Hundreds of curious onlookers jammed against police lines at the far side of the intersection. Reaching back for a full block in either direction, hundreds more had packed in behind them. 13 stories above the pavement was the center of attraction, the figure of a man standing upright on a narrow ledge, looking down at the crowd. On the street directly below him, men from the fire department's rescue squad were hurriedly stretching out nets. We entered the building, took the elevator to the 13th floor.
Who was standing by up here, Skipper? Bechtel and Wiseman. They saw the crowd gathering in the street on their way back from lunch. Looked up and saw a guy on the ledge. Came right up.
How long has the guy been standing out there?
About 15 minutes.
Sure drawing a crowd. Must be a couple of thousand people down there.
What was that room number, Friday?
1305. Yeah, down this way. There's Bechtel.
Beck? Hi. Been watching for you. The office is down here.
Okay. How's it stand now?
He's still out there ready to jump. We got 22 minutes to figure out how to stop him.
What's the story, anyway?
I'll let the doctor tell you. Go ahead. Through here. Nurse, where'd Dr. Turner go?
He went down to meet Dr. Rice. He's bringing him right up.
This is Captain Steed, homicide, Miss Lenahan.
How do you do?
Sergeant Friday Romero.
How do you do?
Nurse, how are you?
Here's how he climbed outside, this window here.
Yeah.
Right now, he's standing on the ledge about 12 feet to the right of the window. The ledge is about 14 inches wide.
No other windows closer to him?
No, this is it.
Did you try to talk him out of it, get him back inside?
We took a turn at it, yeah. Wiseman crawled out on the ledge, talked to him. So did I. One of the queerest jumpers I've come across.
Well, how do you mean?
He's got a hammer with him, carpenter's hammer. Whenever you get close to him, he takes a cut at you. Wiseman wasn't looking for it, had to duck fast. He almost went over.
Was there any other way to reach him?
Double-checked the whole layout. This window's the closest.
What about lowering a man from the roof?
Wide piece of cornice up there, a big overhang. Put a man down on a rope and he'd be hanging 3 feet from the side of the building. Wouldn't come close to the guy.
How about this doctor you mentioned, Beck? You figure he can help?
It's worth a try. Miss Lenahan?
Yes, Sergeant.
You saw it happen. You know better than I do what Dr. Turner's idea is. Would you fill these men in, please? Make it brief.
Surely.
Now, this man on the ledge, who is he, do you know?
Walter Harrison's his name. He's one of the doctor's patients. His sister brought him in for a routine checkup. That was about 1 o'clock.
How old's the man?
41. His sister told us he's been complaining of a backache lately. While the doctor was examining him, and Mr. Harrison flew up all of a sudden. He yelled out we were trying to cripple him, that we wanted to kill him. Oh, excuse me, please.
Sure.
Dr. Turner's office. No, I'm sorry. Not this afternoon. We have an awful lot of trouble. Yes, all right, thank you.
Well, what happened after Harrison started to act up, Miss Lenahan?
Dr. Turner and I tried to hold him. He shoved us both out of the way. He hit the doctor in the face, then he ran to the window, got out on that ledge, and crawled along the side of the building. He's been there ever since.
Miss Harrison is a mental case?
Yes, he's been for 10 years. Been in and out of the state hospital at Camarillo a couple of times. Sister Ruth's been taking care of him. She was here when it happened.
Where is she now?
Next door, the treatment room. Thelma, that's the other nurse. She's looking after Miss Harrison. She's pretty close to hysterics.
Tried to talk to her, Skipper. Not much help so far.
Mm-hmm. You say the doctor's been treating this, Mr. Harrison?
No, he just came in for a physical checkup. Dr. Reich's been handling his mental condition. That's where Dr. Turner is now, getting Reich. He has his office in the next building.
What time you got, Ben?
It's getting short, 19 minutes to 2. How about the time element, Beck? If he's going to kill himself, why is he waiting for 2 o'clock to do it?
It's got me. He scribbled a note out there, threw it down to the street. One of the men in the rescue squad grabbed it and brought it up. I got it right here.
Here, let me see.
Now look at that there.
Mm-hmm.
They want my life. They want... What's his next one?
Dead. Dead. They want me dead.
Yeah. I'd like to pray first. I'll jump at 2 o'clock. What's this last thing, Ben? I can't read this.
Let me see. At 2 o'clock, don't touch my body. That's it. Don't touch my body. You saw the guy at close range, Beck. What do you think? He's serious?
I don't know. I'm not even going to guess.
How about me going out and talking to him, Skipper? It might work. It won't do any harm. That ledge is 14 inches wide, Romero. If you slip, I don't want to explain it to your wife and kid.
Well, how about me giving it a try? That jumper case last October, I was on that one.
It's volunteer duty, Joe. I'm not going to order you. You know the risk.
Yeah, I'll watch you. You want to stand by here at the window, Ben?
Yeah, okay.
Let's get that window up, huh?
Blinds. Yeah. Those blinds up.
Okay. Give you a hand with the window.
All right. Come on. Up she goes.
Stuck.
Yeah, I did.
All the way up, huh?
There it goes.
Okay.
Be careful now, huh?
Yeah, I will.
Joe?
Yeah, Beck.
Don't forget about that hammer the guy's got. It's just my guess.
Yeah, what's that?
The guy might want to die. I don't think he wants to do it alone.
1:43 p.m. If we could take Walter Harrison's word for it, we had exactly 17 minutes to talk him into a change of mind before he plunged to his death on the pavement 13 stories below. I crawled out of the window and started inching my way along the narrow ledge. It went slow. I kept my eyes on Harrison. He stood about 10 feet away from me, looking down at the crowds jamming the streets below. I edged along to within 8 feet of him. He didn't seem to notice me. He was a fairly tall man, about 5'10", medium build, dark hair. He was wearing gray pinstripe trousers, a white shirt, no coat, no necktie. I got to within 6 feet of him. He raised one arm and made a motion with his fist at the crowd below.
Animal! You dirty bag of animals! You won't touch me! I'll stomp right through you! You won't even touch me!
I kept edging toward him. He still didn't seem to notice me. He turned his body a little. Kept pounding the side of the building with a hammer. I got a look at his right hand. In it he held the carpenter's hammer. I got to within 5 feet of him. An airliner passed overhead. Harrison looked up. He muttered something, then he turned. He saw me.
I'm going to kill you.
It's all right with me, Walter. Why do you want to kill yourself? You're only going to hurt people.
You don't care about people. You don't care about me.
Well, what am I doing out here? Well, you got it wrong, Walter. A lot of people care about you. They want you back inside. They want you where it's safe.
You're another one of those. You want to get your hands on me. You want to grab me. Well, you're not. I'm going to kill you.
It's all right, Walter. You can kill me. I want to help you first.
You stay back. Don't you move anymore. I got this hammer and I'll smash your face with it. I'll smash you.
I only want to talk to you. I know we can straighten this out.
I'll do it my way. You understand? My way. I know who you are. You've been after me before. I know what it's all about.
Yeah, I know you do, Walter, but you got it wrong. Now, look, you're going to jump off this building at 2 o'clock. That's in 15 minutes.
That's right. You bet I am.
All right, now, let's talk it over for 5 of those minutes, huh? Can't do any harm. I'm not going to hurt you. How about it, okay?
Why should I talk to you?
Because I care about what happens to you. So does your sister. So do a lot of people.
Well, then you're like a lot of people. You want to get your hands on me. Like those animals down there, the whole dirty pack of them. They want to grab on me, get all around close and put their hands on me. Well, they're not going to do it.
Of course they're not. Nobody's going to hurt you. You know that, don't you?
You bet your life they're not. You see that dirty pack down there? Well, they don't know it, but I'm going to jump right through them. I'm going to jump right through all of them. They won't even touch me, and I can do it right now.
Wait a minute, Walter. Don't forget your promise.
What are you talking about? What promise?
2 o'clock. You wrote that down yourself. You said you wouldn't jump until it was 2 o'clock, didn't you?
That was no promise. I just wrote it down, that's all. Just 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, your sister believed it. We gave her the note. She says that you promised. Now, you going to make a liar out of yourself?
You're the liar. Ruth didn't say that. She didn't say it was a promise.
You got to take my word for that. All right, let's go in and ask her. How about it?
See Ruth inside?
Sure. Come on. Come on, take my hand, Walter.
All right. I'll take your hand.
Watch your step. Look out, will you?
You get back there. Get back. Now, next time I won't miss. I'll smash your whole arm. You think you're pretty smart, don't you? You're trying to trick me. Well, I told you before. I know who you are. You're trying to get your hands on me.
You promised your sister 2 o'clock. You're still going to break that promise?
I'm not like you and that pack down there. I don't break promises.
Everybody knows that, Walter. They trust you. Now, come on. How about talking this thing out?
What time?
1:46. 14 minutes to go.
You're lying. How do I know that's the time?
Well, you can look at my watch. Here, right here.
No, you stand back. I told you before. You stay away from me.
I just wanted to show you the time, that's all. All right, you can look at that big clock up the street, see? The one on the side of the Hobart building up there?
14 minutes. How do I know that's right? How do I know they're not in with you, too?
You already said it. Big company. They don't care about you or me. They got a business to run. Their clock, they don't care what happens.
No, of course not. They don't care. All right, well, I'll just keep an eye on this clock.
All right. You don't mind if I talk while you wait, do you?
What's that plane? What's it doing up there?
Well, it's just an airliner. Probably on its way into Burbank.
You're not fooling me. That plane's been by before. It's flying low, too.
Yeah, I guess I didn't notice it. Well, what difference does it make?
Probably watching. Flying back and forth. Maybe they're the police. They're trying to do something. They're trying to get their hands on me.
Oh, let's see. Yeah. Might be their plane. It's a big one.
Sure, they're trying to do something. Coming right by here, flying low. It's the same one. I can see. Look, you see there on the wing?
Yeah, what's that?
The number right there on the wing. It's the same one that passed over a few minutes ago. Hey, you get away from me!
All right, Walter, give me that.
I'm going to kill you.
Give it to me. That's it, Walter.
You thought you tricked me. You didn't know I had my pocket knife. Well, I can kill you with it now. I can kill you right now.
Yeah. I told you before, it's all right with me. Look out there. Watch your step on the ledge, will you?
I should have cut your hand off. I should have cut your whole arm off and thrown it to those animals down there. Look at that blood all over your hand.
Well, I'm sorry, Walter. It's not your fault. I just wanted to talk the whole thing over to tell you how your sister feels about it.
You're a liar. I knew it when I looked at you. Now you get away. You get away before I kill you.
Look, there's only one thing I can tell you. Your sister Ruth's sitting inside there, and she's worried sick. She's waiting for you. She wants to take you home. Now, how about it? There's no reason for all this. You know that, don't you?
Do I?
Sure you do. Your sister and your family, they care about you. They want you home again. They want you with them. There's no reason to be standing out here, now is there?
You wait till 2 o'clock, mister.
Yeah.
I'll show you the reason.
1:48 p.m. 12 minutes left. I made my way along the ledge, through the window, back into the office. Dr. Wright, a man who'd been treating Walter Harrison for his mental sickness, was already there with Dr. Turner. While the nurse bandaged up my hand, Captain Steve, Ben, and I talked with him.
I've treated Harrison for 10 years, on and off, I guess. He showed some improvement, not much. Definite paranoid tendencies.
Did he ever try this before, Dr. Wright?
Not to my knowledge. His sister might tell you more. I really don't know what to advise you to do. He's never been this violent before, using a hammer and knife.
There you are, Sergeant. That feel all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
There's only one thing I've got to know, Doctor. Is it worth letting another one of my men go out there on that ledge?
I'm afraid that's your decision, Captain. It may help, it may not. I know the patient, but I can't read his mind.
I was just thinking. We might bring Harrison's sister to the window and have her talk to him. Think that might help, Doctor?
Very possible it might. In a spot like this, I'm the same boat you are. It's all guesswork.
You think Harrison's really going to be ready to jump at 2 o'clock, Doctor?
From what Sergeant Friday tells me, yes, I think he'll jump.
We got to come up with something. We can't just stand around and watch a guy take a dive down 13 stories.
I wish I knew the answer.
There's got to be one someplace. There's got to be an answer.
Well, let's check your watch. We got 10 minutes to find it.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
It's the sworn duty of the peace officer to protect the lives of the citizens of the community in which he serves. That isn't always limited to protecting the citizens from criminals and lawbreakers. Oftentimes, the citizen has to be protected from himself. The drunken driver can do as much harm to his own person as he can to others. The same for the narcotic addict. The same for mental incompetence, such as Walter Harrison. If he was being assaulted, robbed, or shot at by a gunman, it would have been no more serious. Harrison's life was in jeopardy. Trying to save him had to be the first consideration. 1:50 p.m. Sergeant Jack Wiseman inched his way out on the ledge of the 13th story and kept Walter Harrison busy talking. Anything to keep his mind off the jump. Captain Steed got on the phone and talked to the manager of the Hobart building, a 12-story structure 3 blocks away with a large clock set into either side of it. The same clock Harrison was keeping time by.
Yeah, that's right, just so you don't make it look too obvious. Okay, Mr. Walsh, thank you. They're going to do all they can. Let's hope it works.
Yeah, what'd he say?
They're going to start slowing down the clock in the building right away. If Harrison goes by that time, it's going to be a long 10 minutes.
Well, how much they figure they can stretch it?
About 5 or 6 minutes without making it look too obvious.
We can sure use it. Let's hope Harrison doesn't catch on.
Manager said they'll stop the clock when it's a minute to go. It'll never reach 2 o'clock.
Skipper.
Yeah, Romero.
I just checked with the rescue squad down the street. They're stringing out more nets.
Yeah?
They're not guaranteeing anything.
How do you mean?
They're worried about those ledges jutting up from the building every other floor. They say if Harrison jumps close enough, he's bound to hit one of them.
Yeah.
If he does, he'll be dead before he reaches street level. Nets down there won't do him any good.
Well, nothing we can do about it. Something else we'll have to hand over to Luck.
Have they come up with any ideas, Ben?
Just one. Sounds like it could work.
What's that?
They figured like we did. The overhang on the roof is too wide to lower a man directly down on top of Harrison to grab him.
Yeah?
They think it might work if they try this. Put a man in a rope sling just over the edge of the roof. Lower him down toward Harrison as close as possible without tipping him. Give him a good line. Let him try to rope Harrison.
I don't know.
They got any candidates to try it?
Yeah, one. The guy's been on the rescue squad for years. Supposed to be an expert with a lasso.
Captain?
No, might do it. I don't know.
Yeah. What happens if he misses Harrison?
Who knows? What happens if Harrison jumps?
Captain? I just got off that ledge in a hurry. He came at me with that knife.
Is he any closer to the window?
He backed off again. Something else, that clock in the Hobart building.
Yeah?
Pretty sure he's wise to that gimmick. He's given it up.
What do you mean?
The 2 o'clock deadline. He's not going to wait for it.
1:55 p.m. A specially equipped police car with loudspeakers mounted on the roof was rushed to the intersection of 3rd and Temple Streets opposite the Fitzroy building. Sergeant Jack Wiseman took Walter Harrison's sister, Ruth, down in the elevator to the street. She got on the police car microphone and started talking to her brother over the loudspeakers. Word was passed to the special detail of men from the fire department's rescue squad standing by on the roof of the building. They went to work. Captain Steed went up to the roof to see if he could assist them. Ben and I waited in the office on the 13th floor. The nurse, Miss Lenahan, and Jean Bechtel were with us. 1:57 p.m. The men on the roof started to lower the man from the rescue squad in a rope sling. He held a double-strength lasso in his hand. The end of it was wrapped around his body and tied securely. Ben and I watched from the window. We looked along the narrow ledge. Walter Harrison stood erect and motionless, an open pocket knife in one hand, his feet poised on the brink of a 13-story jump. The voice of Harrison's sister drifted up from the loudspeakers down on the street.
Walter? This is Ruth, Walter. Can you hear me? This is Ruth. I want you to come home with me, Walter. Please. You've got to understand.
Sister's doing all right. Finish it for sure if he looks up.
Yeah, sure will.
There's nothing wrong. No one's going to hurt you. We want to help you, Walter. Please.
I can't see, Joe. They're letting the man down?
Yeah, coming slow.
There's
Wait a minute.
nothing to be afraid of. You know that, don't you? Come home with me, please. I'll take care of you. I'll see that you're safe. That you're all right.
Joe, how's Harrison doing? Can you see?
Yeah, he's looking down. Not moving at all.
Nobody's gonna hurt you, believe me. These people are your friends. They want to help you. Can you hear me, Walter? They want to help you.
That's it. What? Man coming down on the rope. He's just above Harrison now.
They're your friends. You can trust me, your sister Ruth. You've got to trust me, Walter. I want to take care of you. I want to take you home.
Yeah, I see the man now. He's right above me. Got the lasso ready. Keep your fingers crossed.
What is it? What's happening?
The lasso. He's throwing it.
Get him away from me!
Miss, Joey, miss. Walter, wait a minute. Harrison!
I'm alive! Get him away from me! Get him away!
Pull that man up. Pull him out of the way.
That doesn't.
Well, he's still on the ledge. I'm going out.
Joe, wait a minute.
Yeah?
It's only a chance.
Yeah?
Why don't you get him mad at you? Say anything, insult him.
Well, I'll try.
Anything to make him go for you. If you can get him down to this window, I can grab him.
If I get him by the window, I'll hold on to him, huh?
Yeah. When you grab him, try to lean as close to the building as you can.
There's not much to lean on the other way. 1:59 p.m. I got through the window and out onto the ledge. The crowds jamming the streets below had swollen to almost twice their size. A few blocks away, the big clock on the side of the Hobart building read 5 minutes to 2, but Harrison wasn't looking at it. He still had his eyes fixed on the pavement 13 stories beneath us. He'd torn off his collar and his shirt was ripped open at the neck. He waved his arms and shouted at the crowd below as he tottered along the ledge toward the corner of the building, away from the window that I was supposed to lure him into. In his right hand, he still held onto the open pocket knife.
You're not going to get your hands on me. You're not even going to get close.
Wait a minute, Harrison. Watch it.
You watch me, mister. I'm going to jump right through them down there. Those dirty animals. You just watch.
All right, wait a minute. I got a message for you from your sister Ruth. Now, do you want to hear it?
You won't get your hands on me. None of you. I'll see you later, mister.
You're a phony, Harrison. You're a phony liar.
I'm a liar.
You heard me. You're not kidding anybody.
You don't think I can jump, huh? Well, you just watch.
Anybody can jump. Any phony can do that.
What?
It doesn't take anything. Those animals down there in the street, any one of them could do that. You're just like one of them.
I've still got this knife. I've used it before. I can kill you.
You couldn't kill anything. You haven't got the guts. You're a phony.
You're a liar. You're a rotten liar. I can cut you to pieces.
Oh, you talk big, Harrison, but you're all talk.
I can cut you to pieces.
You haven't got me fooled, mister. Not for a minute.
I'll cut you to pieces.
You haven't got half the nerve. You're a phony and you know it.
You're a rotten liar. You stand still. Go on. You stand still and I'll show you.
Oh, you talk a real good game, but that's about all. You're all talk.
I'll show you. I still have my knife and I'll kill you right now.
Yeah, sure you will.
You're backing away. You're afraid.
You're a phony, Harrison. Nobody's afraid of a phony.
Cut you up good.
I'm waiting for you. Come on. What's the matter, Harrison?
You're not waiting. Stay still and stop backing away. Now stop!
I'll tell you, you come and get me, huh? Haven't you got enough nerve? Or you're just talking again. All talk, huh?
That window. You've got to stop by the window and then I'll cut you to pieces.
All right, Harrison. Here. Now you go ahead. Prove you're a phony.
Liar. I'll show you. You rotten liar.
All right, Walter, now drop it.
I can't kill you. You rotten liar. I'll cut you to pieces.
Drop it. Joe, look out. Grab them. They're going to fall.
Well, how close can it get?
Here. Nurse?
That was just wonderful, Sergeant, both of you. Are you all right?
Yeah, fine. Would you mind getting Captain Steve for us, please? You know who he is.
Oh, surely, right away.
Well,
Yeah, it was a rough one.
yeah, Dad, looked like you were both going over the side.
Yeah.
Thought I'd lost you, Joe.
Oh, you didn't have to worry.
No?
No. You told me which way to lean.
Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 10th, a sanity hearing was held at the County Hospital Psychopathic Ward, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that hearing. After being examined by 6 psychiatrists, Walter John Harrison was judged mentally incompetent. On his sister's request, he was committed to a private sanitarium. 7 months later, Harrison took his own life by hanging. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles. We the People is next with Stories of Today on NBC.
Broadway's My Beat, from Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway, where you walk through the October evening and hold close the things you want to save for memories. Then Broadway's as innocent and nostalgic as music drifting from a carousel. And you move on. You get hit in the face by a guy fishing for nickels under a grating. Whatever you were pursuing is gone now, lost. And Broadway trails off into the side streets. Walk them, like I did. And try to close your eyes against the pattern of scars in the street of the tenements. The kids with the torn deck of cards under the lamppost, the dogs at the trash cans, the wide-eyed girl who lurched against me.
Pardon me.
That's all right.
Pardon me. Pardon me.
That's all right. Is something wrong, miss?
No, it's all right. I'll find it all right.
Find what? May I help you?
You've seen it? You know where it is?
You're not feeling well, miss. Let me take you home.
Home?
That's right. Where do you live?
I don't know.
Then tell me your name. We'll find out.
I don't know my name. I don't know who I am. I don't know who. Tell me who I am.
Now, just take it easy. That's better. What were you looking for?
Pocketbook. I remember I had it. I think I had it when I was rocking right over there. I fell down.
Well, let's go see. How long ago did you miss your pocketbook?
A little while, I think. I don't know. An hour? I don't know, just a few minutes ago. I can't remember when.
Here's where you fell?
Yes. I remember because when it happened, I stretched out my arm so I wouldn't hit the trash can.
Uh-huh. Is this it, miss?
Yes. Yes, that's it. I can remember that.
Let's open it.
Yes.
Here, the wallet. Here's a driver's license made out to Linda Arnold, 1912 West 54th Street. 5'4", blonde hair, green eyes. That fits. And this, in case of accident, notify Helen Carroll. Address the same.
Helen Carroll. Aunt Helen. Yes, that's right. My name's Linda Arnold, and Helen Carroll's my aunt.
Uh-huh. There's something else in this purse, Miss Arnold. Recognize it?
Why, that's a letter opener. Aunt Helen's. And there's blood on it.
That's right, Miss Arnold. It's sticky with blood. Which is your apartment, Miss Arnold?
That one. The one at the...
Are you all right?
Yes. I'm all right. It's the one at the end of the hall.
I have your key?
It's in my purse.
Muggavan.
Hi, Danny. You got the call, huh?
What call?
Homicide, Danny. You mean you didn't get it? Then why are you here?
Miss Arnold lives here. She's ill. I found her wandering in the streets, so I brought her home.
You said someone was dead. Who is it? Who's dead?
Who, Muggavan?
A woman named Carol, Mrs. Helen Carroll, in the kitchen.
Here, take care of her, Muggavan. Make her lie down someplace.
Okay, Danny. Bedroom over there. Here, Miss Arnold. Let me help you. Danny, we've been waiting for you.
Hi.
You got a cigarette, Danny?
Oh, sure, Dr. Sinsky. Here. How?
Stabbed in the chest. Over and over. Pierced the lungs, the heart. The murderer made very sure, Danny. Like it was what he'd lived for all his life.
Who called it in, do you know?
Yeah, Detective Muggavan said some man from a coin box. Wouldn't give his name.
Stabbed. Boys know with what?
No weapons and evidence, Danny. They think it was a knife, a small knife like...
A letter opener, maybe?
The boys mentioned the possibility of a letter opener, yeah.
There's a girl in the bedroom, Doctor. She'll need your help.
You take me to her, Danny.
I killed her. I killed her. I hated her. She was mean and rotten. She twisted everything and made it dirty and mean. I killed her.
Hold it, Danny. You too, Muggavan. But gently. You'll be all right, miss. It'll be all right.
I want Ted. Bring Ted to me. Tell him. Tell Ted. Oh. Tell him I killed her. Tell him to come to me.
Dr. Sinsky.
A moment longer, Danny. In a moment, she'll be asleep. This girl murdered Danny?
She's asleep. You're right, Dr. Sinsky. It only took a moment. It only took a moment, and sleep touched Linda Arnold, and the face gouged with hysteria smoothed down to a kind of release, an innocence. Her lips formed a final word, Ted, once. Then she surrendered to sleep. I left. Routine, then. Questions. Questions prefaced with the word Ted, and answers from people who lived in the apartment house. Ted? I guess that's her boyfriend that always comes calling, mister, the good-looking boy in the uniform. Then a woman who opened the door for me before I knocked told me, Ted, you mean Ted Raymond, mister, Linda's boyfriend. About his uniform, mister, I guess that's because he drives a bus. And more questions. And find out Ted Raymond drove a bus for cross-country tours. Go to the depot. Ted was off yesterday, but here's his address. But Ted wasn't home when I got there. Assign a man to call me when Ted got in. The next morning at 10, a phone call. Ted Raymond had been out all night. He just got in. I went there.
You're the police.
That's right. Danny Clover.
Come on in.
Thanks. How'd you know I was...
You were the police? How did I know? One of your boys was outside this house when I came in. He was trying to look like a maple tree, like the one that's outside, real detective-y looking. Fat man with a cigar trying to look like a maple tree. I came home, he went across the street and made a call, then you came. Have a chair.
Thanks. You know why I'm here?
Sure.
Uh-huh. That's why you were packing that bag over in the bed.
Maybe I was doing the wrong thing. I don't know the etiquette about getting arrested. Do they furnish prisoners with small and necessary items like razor and toothbrush and combs and brushes, huh? Go ahead. Look, that's what I'm packing. Look and then arrest me.
Arrest you for what?
Come on. Now don't get cagey on me. Arrest me for murder. I killed Helen Carroll.
Where were you all last night, Ted?
Killing Helen Carroll and walking the streets, atoning to myself for my crime.
How'd you make out?
Fine. She needed to be killed. All her money. Linda never got a cent of it. Kill her Aunt Helen, marry Linda, be rich. Logic. But now I'm caught.
How'd you kill her?
I stabbed her.
With what?
How do I know with what? I picked up something and stabbed her. Let's go, Mr. Clover. Take me down to headquarters, get me a secretary, and I'll dictate my confession.
It could have ended there with the boy's confession and arrest. Could have been easy. Easy to erase the words of a girl, the cries of a girl uttered in anguish and hysteria, the sickness of the lost. Easy to put out of mind the blood on a letter opener found in her purse, found behind a trash can. A girl wandering aimlessly in the twilight. That never happened. But you know it did, all of it. So you make a call to Dr. Sinsky, and he tells you the girl is in the police hospital. Yes, she can talk to you. She's been asking for you. And the girl sitting upright in the bed is a girl who was never lost, who never cried, except alone.
I've waited for you to come back, Mr. Clover.
You're better now. Huh? Feel all right?
Look at me. What do you think?
You look fine.
I tried. I made them bring me lipstick and powder. And this negligee. It's one I've been saving. You like it?
You consider this an occasion, Miss Arnold?
Isn't it?
Can you remember what you told me when I brought you home the other night, when we found your aunt?
I remember it exactly, word for word. I said it killed her because I hated her. My aunt was mean, Mr. Clover, and rotten. That's why I killed her. This makes it an occasion, doesn't it?
You lived with your aunt?
Ever since I was in pigtails. Ever since I was 12. I think it began the first night I stayed in her house. Yeah. That's right. That's when it began.
What began?
The hate. The loathing.
Why?
Because she made me cry. Because she put me in a dark room and let me cry all night.
You'd done something wrong?
Mm-hmm. I did wrong. My mother and father were dead. That's what I did wrong. There was no one to take me except a school friend of my mother's. I call her Aunt Helen. That's what I did wrong.
And after that?
Have you ever had to live on the charity of a bitter old woman, Mr. Clover? It could have been so nice. She was that rich, $100,000, Alfred said. $100,000, and we ate out of paper bags we dressed in.
Alfred? Who's he?
Alfred Carroll, my uncle. My aunt's husband. Poor thing.
We didn't even know about him. Where is he?
I don't know. But find him, Mr. Clover. He'll be so relieved that I've killed her, so happy. I'd like to see his face. Find him for me, please.
We will. We'll put out an all-points bulletin.
Thank you. Now you'll put me in a cell, I suppose. I'm well enough for you to do that.
Ted Raymond says he killed your aunt.
You're not fooled, are you? He said that because he loves me. Turn your back, Mr. Clover. I'll get dressed so you can put me away.
Danny? Hi-yo, Danny.
Oh, come on in, Tartaglia. Oh, what's on your mind?
Oh, things, Danny. Especially to extend to you formally the warm hand of welcome back from your vacation west of the Great Divide.
Oh, thanks, Gino.
And to remark that the western winds have indeed done wonders to your features. The sunburned brow, the hearty handshake, and that Don Juan shirt. You look like a veritable Don Juan.
Thanks, Gino.
And to tell you that I have prepared myself during your vacation for whatever problems perplex your brain.
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, I have been studying the exploits of Mike Schreck, the bald-headed miracle detective from Philadelphia. Detective Schreck is a man who has coined two interesting theories.
Gino.
First theory, find a woman. Second theory, the criminal always returns to the scene of his crime. Put them together...
In other words, when a man walks past the scene of the crime with a girl...
He's the killer. Hey, how did you know?
Lieutenant Clover?
That's right. Come in.
Thank you. I understand you're looking for me.
I am?
My name is Alfred Carroll.
Yes. Yes, we were looking for you, Mr. Carroll. Do you know why we want you?
Yes. Yes, of course I do. It's about my wife's murder.
It's this way. 2 people have confessed to your wife's murder.
What?
That's right. Linda Arnold and Ted Raymond.
I'm not a young man anymore, Lieutenant. Would you mind if I sat down?
Please do.
That's strange. Why should 2 people confess to my wife's murder?
What?
Why should they do that? I killed my wife. I killed Helen.
You are listening to Broadway's My Beat, written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin, and starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. Keep your guard up. That's the key slogan of the 1950 National Guard recruiting drive, and it's a slogan as timely as today's headlines. More than ever before, America stands prepared, and the National Guard must recruit approximately 220,000 men as soon as possible. By joining the National Guard, young men will have the advantage of choosing their own unit and preparing themselves for promotion by being in a job for which they are best qualified. Investigate the National Guard now. Help America to keep up its guard.
In the late October afternoon, Broadway stands on a corner, sips its coffee, snaps at a coney, and sums up the day. Some days are better than others. You know because the Translux says it was. Our men in Korea are doing fine, it says. A horse out in far Hollywood paid 90 for two, it says. But you went on it, were you, kid? For the rich, they run, I kid. Get this item. Look what it says. 3 people confessed to murder of Helen Carroll. A field day for the police, I kid. 3 tries, 3 scores. Coming up in the world, the police. And at headquarters, the husband sits quietly waiting for the police stenographer to catch up with him because his confession spills out of him like laughter, like it has to be shared with the world.
Have you got that now, young man? All of it? Every word?
He's got it, Mr. Carroll. Go on.
Yeah, there's not much more. I wish there were. There are so many things.
Where did you go after you killed your wife, Mr. Carroll?
I went to do things she'd never let me do.
Like what?
Enjoyable things. Pleasurable things.
Like what?
I went to a bar and had a drink. A lot of drinks. With her money. With Helen's money.
What else?
There was a girl there sitting all alone. She came up to me and asked me if I was having a good time. I said, indeed I was. Then I asked her if I could buy her a drink. And she smiled. What have you done with Linda? Where's Linda?
How much money did your wife have?
$100,000. Imagine. $100,000, and she made us live like pigs, like beggars. She wouldn't even let me get a job so I could have money for myself.
Why does she keep her money?
It's all in the bank, in her name. It's all coming to me now. You know what I'm going to do with it after I die, after you...
What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to leave it all to Linda, to my child. I think of her as my child, but she isn't, you know. It's like a blessing to have Linda in our house. I want her to have all that money.
Hey, let me look at the transcript, Florio. Thanks.
You'll see to it that Linda gets that money, won't you?
You said here you stabbed your wife for the letter opener, Mr. Carroll. What did you do with it?
Didn't I tell you that? I must have forgotten. The excitement. I walked around, and all of a sudden I was on the dock. A garbage scow floated right past, so I threw the weapon onto the garbage. I thought that was right for Helen.
Is this the letter opener?
Let me see. Yes, that's it. It belonged to Helen. That's what I killed her with.
I found it in Linda's purse with blood on it.
You lie. You're lying. I threw it away. I threw it on that barge. You're lying.
Tartaglia, see that Mr. Carroll gets home.
I killed her. I killed her.
Take him home, Tartaglia. And there it was. 3 people confessed to a single murder. An elderly man, Alfred Carroll, said he killed his wife, but the details of the killing were too cloudy. A young woman, Linda Arnold, said she did it, killing done in a mental blackout. A young man, Ted Raymond, swore he was the killer. Take a premise, consider it. Make up your mind that one of the suspects was the murderer. But who? All had motive. As far as I could gather, all had opportunity. That was the joker. Routine again, and questions again. The knocking on doors and tipping the hat and flashing the badge and intrude into lives of people who thought the word murder was reserved for headlines only. A person like Mrs. Westfall, for instance, landlady and purveyor of towels and clean sheets for Ted Raymond.
You're talking about Ted Raymond, ain't you?
That's right.
Ted drives a bus.
What are you looking at, Mrs. Westfall?
Little Fiddlebird. Look at her walking down the street. Giddle in her uppity ways. It's just October and she's got out the raccoon coat already. Look at her.
Ted Raymond.
He drives a bus driver, jockey for a bus. Look at Ghetto.
Do you know whether he made any phone calls?
On my phone, where he always makes them. Broke a date with his girl. I heard him because I was peeping with my ear.
Then what'd he do?
I don't know. Maybe he went to work where he works at the bus depot. I'll bet it's not even real raccoon.
Bus leaving
Are
for
you
Trenton,
Mr. McLean?
Philadelphia,
That's right.
Baltimore,
What can I do
and
for you, sir?
Washington.
I'm from the
Leaving in
police.
5 minutes
Oh,
at
fine.
gate
I drive
3.
that bus for cross-country tours. I'm supposed to take it out to Washington in 5 minutes. Think I'll make it?
Sure, this'll only take a minute. The man at the ticket window said you were a friend of Ted Raymond's.
Was Ted in trouble? Oh, I'm just supposed to answer the questions.
So you'll make the bus.
I know Ted.
Did you see him last night?
All night. Sat up with Pinochle all night from 5 p.m. to 4 a.m. That's funny, you know.
What's funny?
He called me very early this morning. Told me if anyone asked to say I never saw him at all last night.
Bus
But
leaving
you're a
for
policeman.
Trenton,
Yeah, better catch your bus,
Philadelphia,
Mr. McLean.
Baltimore and Washington, leaving in 4.
Your name, Clover?
That's right. Who are you?
My name is Jones, and I've been looking for you.
Why have you been doing that?
Because I read in the paper you were assigned to the murder of Mrs. Carroll. Therefore, this.
Therefore what?
Here. $100 bill. Take it. As you see, I didn't spend a cent of it.
Look, Mr. Jones, what's this all about?
It's about that boy, Ted Raymond. He gave me the $100, and I'm giving it to you.
Why are you doing that?
Because I'm the superintendent of the apartment house in which Mrs. Carroll was slain. Ted Raymond gave me the $100 early this morning. He said to tell anyone that asked that he was lurking around the apartment house at the time of the murder.
I see. What took you all this time to come to the police?
Yes.
What?
Yes, it did take me a long time. What happens to the $100 bill now, Mr. Clover?
Hello, Ted.
Your marbles must have come loose, Mr. Clover. You leave that door open, I make a dash for it, escape, become a fugitive from justice, make a name for myself in the papers.
But you won't do that, will you, Ted?
A dreamer.
You won't do it because you like it here.
Yeah, that's right. I like it here. The walls are worn thin where guys have cried on them, where guys have beaten their heads against them. Oh, yeah, I like it here, Mr. Clover. But you'll be careful, huh? Careful I don't hurt you when I try.
It's open, Ted. All you have to do is walk out.
So what is this? This I never even read about.
You told me you killed Helen Carroll.
Yeah. Who else should I tell? Bring them to me. I'll whisper it in their ears.
She was killed in the evening at 7 o'clock. The medical examiner says so.
Bless him. I killed her in the evening at 7 o'clock.
You're lying, Ted. We know everything you did from 5 until 4 in the morning. You weren't even near Helen Carroll. How much did you lose at Pinochle, Ted?
You're crazy.
The man you played cards with, McLean, is he crazy too, Ted? All of us and Jones? The man you paid $100 to establish at the scene of the crime? That the current price for a confession to murder? Answer me, Ted.
So I didn't kill anybody, so you don't have to put your hands on me.
Who did you do it for?
It's this way, Mr. Clover. Somebody gets killed, I feel guilty. So I confess and I don't feel guilty anymore.
It was for Linda, wasn't it?
I do it for her, too.
For Linda, huh, Ted?
Leave her out of this. I want you to leave her out. Look, Mr. Clover, you're wrong. Linda couldn't kill. She's a sick... But she wouldn't kill. Not Linda. She's just sick, that's all. All she needs is...
How sick?
Ask her doctor, he'll tell you. Dr. Malcolm.
Dr. Malcolm?
Yes, Dr. Robert Malcolm in the Equitable Building. Go ask him how sick a girl like Linda can be.
We won't need you anymore, Ted. The guard at the end of the tier will show you where to go. Goodbye, Ted.
The case of Linda Arnold is not a very exciting one, Mr. Clover.
I don't want to write a magazine article, Dr. Malcolm. I'm just trying to clear up a murder.
I'll wager the material you police come in contact
Look,
with.
Doctor.
Of course, Linda Arnold. She came to me some years ago.
How many years ago?
Oh, about 10, I'd say. Charity patient. Later, I found out her aunt was quite wealthy, so I had it done her for my fee.
Her aunt was the one who was murdered.
Really? Now, that's interesting.
Oh? Why?
Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Clover. Did Linda kill her aunt?
We're not sure. Maybe she did. Why do you ask?
Well, there might be a pattern for murder there. Linda was an emotional girl, and when an emotional crisis presented itself, she would well, black out.
In other words, at times, rather than face reality, Linda would...
I said it. Black out.
Would you say you cured her, Doctor?
I can only say she hasn't had need to see me for the last 3 years. Yes, I'd say she was a perfectly healthy, normal girl. Anything else? No? Good day, Mr. Clover.
It was 5 p.m. when I walked out of Dr. Malcolm's office. It was 10 minutes after 5 when I called the police headquarters and had them release Linda Arnold. Then back on Broadway for a hot pastrami sandwich. I almost had some cream soda, too, but Morris, the waiter, said, Danny, you look dyspeptic. I prescribed celery tonic. Then the theater crowds began to gather and Broadway became crowded, so I left it. Linda Arnold should be home by now. I went there, to her apartment. But it wasn't Linda Arnold who opened the door for me.
Oh, it's you, Mr. Clover. Please come in.
Thanks, I will. Where's Linda?
She was just admiring the clothes I bought for her. I opened a charge account for her because I'm going to get all that money, and I bought all those beautiful clothes for her. Silks. Linda looks so wonderful in silks. See? These, and these, and these.
Where's Linda, Mr. Carroll?
And this. You should have seen Linda in this. We played that record you're listening to so Linda could walk around to it.
Let's get rid of it, huh? Where's Linda, Mr. Carroll?
Oh, she's in her room changing into something else.
Call her.
Because you want to take her back for murder? It won't work, you know. Linda has no mental responsibility for what she did. And besides that, if she were brought to trial, I'd say I did it. Linda, doesn't she look beautiful, Mr. Clover?
How do you feel, Linda?
I'm happy. What happened to the music?
I turned it off.
But I'm happy. I need music to go with it. Look at these things. Look at them. Uncle Alfred bought them for me.
Yes, I did. Didn't I, Linda?
Ted signed his confession, Linda.
What?
Yes, the district attorney's going to arraign him tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Ted did that?
Isn't that wonderful, Linda? I asked you, isn't that wonderful?
Ted's in jail?
Now we have nothing to worry about, don't you see, Linda?
Yes. Yes, Uncle Alfred.
Linda, don't call me uncle. I'm not your uncle, Linda. Linda, you're so lovely, lovely. Oh, Linda.
You. Take your hands off me. You old man. You. Take your hands off me.
How dare you talk to me like that?
Get out of here. Get out of my sight.
How dare you? I killed for you. Planned this whole thing for you. The years I waited for you. You.
Old man. Old man.
Leave her alone.
I'll show you. Take her, Mr. Clover. Take her. Me too.
Alfred, you're crazy.
Listen to me, Mr. Clover. I planned it all. It was I who told her to walk around, to be found in a daze with a knife in her purse. No jury would convict her. I killed my wife, and Linda helped me to do it.
Linda?
All those beautiful things. They'll take them all away. All these things. All these beautiful things.
In the time of autumn, twilight sighs down on Broadway. You walk toward it. Someone smiles and takes your hand, whispers to close your eyes, then bangs your head against a wall, and your scream mixes well with the shriek of the night. It's Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway. My beat.
Broadway's My Beat stars Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover, with Charles Calvert as Tartaglia. The program was produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with musical score composed and conducted by Alexander Courage. Included in tonight's cast were Joyce McCluskey, Herb Butterfield, Peggy Weber, Lou Krugman, David Ellis, and Jack Crucian. Jack Smith, Dinah Shore, Margaret Whiting, Bob Crosby, the Andrews Sisters, Lowell Thomas, Beulah, Ed Murrow. Anywhere else, they'd make up an all-star list for a week. But at CBS, the Stars address, you can hear them every evening, Monday through Friday. Dan Cubberly speaking. This is CBS, where yours truly, Johnny Dollar, brings adventure Saturday nights on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dragnet has a very important announcement for all of you at the close of tonight's program.
The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. 2 armed bandits invade the home of an elderly couple in your city. The aging husband is tortured unmercifully before he reveals the hiding place of his valuables. The 2 thieves make good their escape. Your job? Get them.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, October 3rd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Harry Didion, captain of robbery. My name's Friday. It was 11:38 p.m. when I got to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, room 5, treatment room.
Joe?
Hi, how's it going, Ben?
We're not going to be able to talk to him anymore tonight. Doctor said maybe late tomorrow morning.
How's the old man making out?
He's resting a lot better. Doctor gave him a sedative. Old fella sure had a rough time.
Well, how about since I've been gone? Did he tell you anything else?
No, just kept repeating the same thing. 2 guys forced their way into his house, beat his wife, tortured him, took all their jewelry. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, I put in a call to the office. I got a broadcast out on the information that we have. There's not much to go on.
We should be able to pick up a little something more tomorrow. Doc said it's been a long time since he's seen anything like this, where they worked the old man over.
Well, what'd they do to the fellow's hands, anyway? The doctor able to tell?
He thinks they used a hat pin on him, something like that. It's sharp and thin. At least a dozen wounds in both hands. He's pretty badly burned, too.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine somebody that cold-blooded. 71-year-old man, soles of his feet a mass of burns. Wonder his heart stood up through the beating I gave him.
Has he got a weak heart?
He's had a little trouble, yeah. Terrific shock going through something like this at his age.
Well, maybe we better check back at their house, huh? See how the old fellow's wife is doing, huh?
Yeah, right. How's it shape up for you?
Well, there's not an awful lot to go on yet. It wasn't a shot in the dark. I think we can count on that. Whoever the thieves were, they had some kind of an inside tip. The old man and his wife, well, they don't put up much of an appearance. You wouldn't be apt to figure that they had $3,000 or $4,000 in jewelry put away at home, would you?
Maybe his wife might have some idea. Sure is a lousy shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might halfway understand it. They just held him up, but working him over the way they did.
There was no sense to it at all.
Trying to show off what a couple of rough bums they are. Maybe that's it.
Well, then let's do them a favor. Let's show them what it costs. Ben and I got in the car and drove back to the Westlake Park area to the home of the robbery victim, 71-year-old Wendell McClung, and his wife, Catherine McClung. It was a 1-story wooden frame building, gray shingled, a typical modest 4-room bungalow. The men from Unit 31R who'd answered the robbery call were still there, standing by. Another pair of men from robbery detail, Powers and Gonzalez, were checking the neighborhood for possible leads on the suspects. Inside the house, Ben and I found Mrs. McClung propped up in an easy chair in the living room. She was a small, chubby woman, gray-haired, looked to be in her 50s. We assured her husband's condition wasn't critical. Outside of a small bruise on her forehead and a case of nervous upset, she seemed to be all right. In recounting the story of the holdup, Mrs. McClung told us the two bandits rang the front doorbell and forced their way into the house at gunpoint shortly before 8 o'clock that night.
How about the color of their hair, ma'am? Their weight and the height?
No, I hardly saw a thing. Just that one look at them when they first pushed their way in.
Well, how was that, baby? Blindfold you?
Guess they might just as well have. You see, when they started to hit Wendell, my husband Wendell, knock him down, I went after them, and one of them slapped me right across my face and knocked my glasses off.
I see.
I reached out to find them, but before I did, I guess one of those gangsters stepped on them. $35 glasses, broke both of the lenses, just ruined the frames. Oh, look at that. Of course, I can't see a thing without them, and that's why I say it might as well have been blindfolded.
And you didn't have a chance to notice what kind of clothes they had on and what they looked like at all?
Well, they weren't shabby, I know that. Pretty well dressed, if memory serves. Both of them in dark suits. If only they wouldn't have broken my glasses.
How about their voices, Miss McClung? Anything unusual about the way they talked? Anything that they might have said? Miss McClung?
No, I was just thinking. No. One's name was Sam, I remember that. The other one had sort of an accent of some kind, maybe from the Midwest or maybe Texas, one of those funny people.
Oh, funny people? How do you mean, ma'am?
Well, you know, something like a cowboy or a farmer, that funny kind of talk.
I see.
Well, I guess I really should be inside fixing you men a cup of tea. Maybe if you'd just help me up
That's
here.
all right, ma'am. You just sit there.
When my sister Dolly gets here, it shouldn't be too long. I'll have her fix something.
There's no need to bother, ma'am. We'd like to have you tell us this if you can. Did your husband do anything at all to provoke the two men? I mean, did he call out for help or try to get to a phone, anything like that?
It was the jewelry we had, Wendell and I, just those few pieces. The two men seemed to know all about it, just as if they had a list of the things.
That's all?
Yes. When they first came in, they took my engagement ring and old brooch that belonged to my mother I was wearing. Then they got Wendell in that chair over there and tried to make him tell where our other things were.
Well, now, is it pretty common knowledge around the neighborhood here that you and your husband own expensive jewelry, ma'am?
No, I don't think so. What the men seemed most interested in was Wendell's ring, his diamond signet ring. It was a beautiful thing, 4 carat.
Yes, ma'am. We've got a description on that. That was when they tried to force your husband to tell him where it was hidden, is that right?
I never thought anybody'd be that cruel, officer. Downright cruel. They burned his hands and his feet, kept hitting him in the face with their fists. It was just terrible. Poor Wendell. He finally had to tell them.
I see.
They went and found the things, and then they came back in here and ripped out the phone. Warned us not to move.
Mm-hmm.
And then they left. I just broke down and cried, officer. To see poor Wendell there, the way they abused him.
Yes, ma'am, we understand.
You're sure he's going to be all right? What did the doctor say?
Well, he said there's no danger, ma'am. Mr. McClung's resting comfortably now.
Well, that must be my sister
You want to
Dolly,
stay right
now.
here with Miss McClung, Ben? I'll get that.
Yeah, right.
Joe?
Hi, Jess. You and Powers do any good?
I've been checking through the neighborhood 3-4 blocks around. Not an awful lot. A lot of people know the McClungs. Few of them know about their having jewelry. None of them saw anything unusual going on tonight.
The thieves used a car. We know that. Didn't anybody at all spot it?
I'm not sure, but there's one possibility. Some of the neighbors said a young kid was peddling magazines down this block tonight, just about the same time as a robbery. He might have spotted
Well,
something.
that's fine. Where is the boy? Where does he live?
Well, that's what we asked the neighbors.
Yeah?
Nobody knows.
A supplementary broadcast in an APB was gotten out containing what description we had on the two hold-up men, plus descriptions of each article of jewelry taken from Mr. and Mrs. McClung. The following morning, along with Jess Gonzalez and Johnny Powers, we continued canvassing the immediate neighborhood of the hold-up. The only thing we got was a fair description of the boy who'd been selling magazines the night before in the vicinity of the McClung house, and also the names of the magazines he was peddling. Monday morning, 9 a.m., we got in touch with the local distributor for the publications, got a list of 5 boys who sold for them in that general area, and started checking them out. Third on the list was a Bill Newsom, a sophomore student at a nearby parochial high school. He lived a half a dozen blocks from the McClungs. We checked at his house, but his mother told us he wasn't at home.
I'm sure Billy won't be long.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right in here, officer.
Just go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Sit down, won't you?
Thank you very much.
It must be him now. Billy, in here.
Yeah, Ma.
Come in here, Bill. 2 police officers to see you.
Huh?
Bill, this is Sergeant Friday and Sergeant Romero, my son Bill. Would you excuse me? I'm going to have to start fixing dinner. You go right ahead and have your talk with Bill. I'll be out in the kitchen.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You speak right up now, Bill. Try and help the officers all you can.
How can I help you? What's it all about?
We understand you have a magazine out in the neighborhood, Bill. Your mother tells us you were out selling this last Saturday night.
Yes, sir, that's right. Thursdays and Saturdays, they're my regular nights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really sell, though.
How do you mean, son?
Well, you see, I line up all my customers ahead of time. I got a regular list of people. They buy from me every week. I don't do any door-to-door selling. That way it's not much good.
I see. Do you have a regular customer on your list by the name of McClung, Bill? It's M-C-C-L-U-N-G.
Yeah, Mr. McClung. Once a month, he takes a gardening magazine. Comes out the last weekend every month.
Were you over near the McClung's place Saturday night? You remember?
Yeah, I was. I went right by it. I've got customers all along that block there. Say, this wouldn't be about that robbery.
That's right, Bill. You heard about it?
After church Sunday, a couple of kids who go to the same school I do, they live right around the McClungs. They heard about it.
What time was it when you went by there Saturday night, you remember?
Oh, about a couple of minutes after 9, I guess. Maybe a quarter after. When I heard about the robbery on Sunday, I thought maybe I ought to tell somebody about it. I wasn't sure about it, though. You know, I didn't want to be a pest.
What do you mean, son? You weren't sure about what?
This dark blue sedan I saw parked on the street there, just a couple of houses down from the McClung's place. The reason I even noticed it was because it was a new car, almost a brand new car, but it looked like the license plates on it were kind of old.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Well, I delivered some magazines to Mrs. Brubaker, and I got my money for them. And then coming down the stairs, I saw these two men. I'm not sure they came out of Mr. McClung's house. It's dark, you know, but I thought that's where they came from. Anyway, they went down the street, got in the car, and took off. Seemed to be in a hurry.
Well, what did the two men look like, Bill? Do you have any idea?
No, I didn't see them too well. Wasn't too close to them. I was about from, here to across the street from them.
How about their clothes? You notice them at all?
Yeah, they had suits on, dark suits, I know that.
How would you describe their build, son? Medium, tall, fat, skinny? What would you say?
Why, I think I'd say medium. Yeah, both of them medium.
Now, about that car, Bill, you said it was a dark blue sedan, new model, and the license plates look kind of old, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's how I first noticed it parked down by the restaurant.
How's that?
About 7:15, when I started my route down on South Benson, I saw the same car parked outside the restaurant down there. Forget the name of the place now. It just opened about a month ago.
You sure it was the same car?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's why I noticed it again when I saw it up by McClung's place. I thought it looked kind of terrible. Brand new car like that with old license plates.
By any chance, son, do you remember the license number on those plates?
No, sir, I didn't notice it at all. I'll tell you what, though.
Yeah?
If I see that car again, I'll be sure and get the number for you.
Before we left the home of 16-year-old Bill Newsom, we got a complete description of the car which he'd seen parked near the McClung's home on the night of the robbery. He told us it was a 1950 Hudson, four-door sedan, dark blue, white sidewall tires. We relayed the information downtown to robbery detail. After we left the boy's house, we drove to the vicinity of the restaurant on South Benson, where the Newsom boy had first spotted the Hudson sedan. After making the rounds of several bars and coffee counters in the area, we started checking at the restaurant. It was newly opened, just as the boy had described it, full of glass brick and fancy modern stonework. The main bar was situated just off the lobby, set apart from the main dining room. We interviewed the head bartender, and he thought he remembered serving two customers, answering the general description of the hold-up men on the previous Saturday night.
Not a bad-looking pair. They're in a little early, around 7:15, 7:30. They seem to be all right.
Do you remember what they looked like at all?
No, I didn't notice them that much, officer.
Can you give us some general idea?
Or on the young side, I guess. Not more than 28, 30. One of them talked like a Midwesterner, I think. You know, maybe Arkansas, Texas, someplace like that.
Well, could you give us any idea what they were wearing? Would you remember
both
that?
had suits on, dark suits. One had on a gray hat, and that's about all I remember. The reason I can place them at all is because Saturday was a pretty slow night at the bar. This is a new place here, you know. It takes a little time to cultivate a trade.
Well, did these two men stop for dinner here? Do you remember that?
No. They sat right here at the bar and had a couple of beers, and then they left. No dinner.
Did you wait on them, sir?
Yes, sir, I did. I served them both a bottle of beer, imported Dutch beer.
Uh-huh. Do you serve quite a bit of that imported beer, do you?
No, not here, no. It's mostly cocktail trade. These two fellows are the only ones I remember asking for.
Well, do you remember if the two men handled the beer bottles at all?
If they handled them?
Well, I mean, did you pour it?
I filled up their glasses and set the bottle down. I guess they did handle them. They emptied the bottle.
I see.
But they'd almost have to, wouldn't they?
Would you still have those two bottles on hand?
Well, let's see. Today's Monday? Yeah, I guess I would. They don't pick up the empties till sometime around the middle of the week.
We'd like to take a look at them if you don't mind.
Oh, sure thing. You guys just want to follow me down the bar here? It's in the storeroom just in back.
All right, let's go.
It's right back here, officer.
Fine.
Let's see. Yeah, they're right over here. There you go. Holland labeled. Only ones in the whole case. The same two I served those fellas.
Yeah, I see.
What do you think? Fingerprints?
Maybe.
And as soon as you get the fingerprints, you can pick them up, can't you?
Yeah, when we find the men they belong to.
Monday, 6 p.m. We called Leighton Fingerprints, and they came out to check the evidence. First, they obtained a set of the bartender's fingerprints to serve as a basis for comparison. Then they dusted each of the empty beer bottles carefully. After the various sets of prints were lifted off the bottles, the men went back to the office to run the sets through, classify their findings, and then turn them over to R&I for further checking. While they worked on it, Ben and I ducked out and had a sandwich and a bowl of soup for dinner. 7:25 p.m. We got back to the city hall.
I sure am getting tired of the kind of food that guy serves, Joe. It seems to get worse every time I go in there.
Yeah, it wasn't very good, was it?
I'm willing to bet I know his formula for the soup. 2 gallons of hot water and 1 bouillon cube. Well, I've gone and done it before. I may still do it again.
What's that?
Bring my dinner from home in a paper sack. Pack a thermos full of hot coffee. Be a better deal than across the street.
I don't know about that. You remember the last time you had your wife fix you up a thermos full of coffee?
Yeah, I almost forgot. Wasn't any better than the stuff across the street.
Hi. Where you two been?
Hi, Jess. Getting something to eat?
Leighton Prince called just a minute ago. Told him I'd give you the message.
What's that?
Well, the prints they lifted off those beer bottles, checked them through the record bureau.
Yeah.
Found 2 sets. They made both of them.
October 5th, Saturday, 7:40 p.m. The 2 sets of fingerprints which had been lifted from the empty beer bottles were checked through R&I and identified as those belonging to 2 known criminals. The first was Henry Vincent Moss, WMA, 29 years old. He'd served 2 terms in the county jail for burglary and grand theft auto, and 1 term in San Quentin for robbery. The second was Ernest Robert Windsor, WMA, 28 years old. His home was listed as Little Rock, Arkansas, where he'd twice been convicted on charges of first-degree burglary and served time at the Arkansas State Penitentiary. We pulled the packages on both of the men, checked the last known addresses, but failed to locate either of them. To double-check their identification, we showed mugshots of Windsor and Moss to the robbery and torture victims, Mr. and Mrs. McClung. They gave positive identification of both men. So did the bartender at the restaurant where they'd stopped for the beer. We got out a broadcast and an all-points bulletin on them immediately. We began the routine legwork, checking with all the friends, relatives, and associates who were listed on the mama sheet in each suspect's package. As usual, it was a long, monotonous haul. One of the persons listed as fairly close to Ernest Windsor was an aunt of his, a Mrs. Marie Rolfe, whom we located at her home in the Echo Park district.
No, I haven't seen Ernest in almost a year, Sergeant. What is it you want him for?
I'd like to talk to you about it a few minutes, Mrs. Rolfe, if you don't mind.
I don't know how I can help you. You can come in for a minute if you want. I've got to go out and do some errands pretty soon, though.
It's all right, ma'am. Thank you.
Right in here. Sit down if you want.
Thank you very much.
Just got finished taking care of my little children here, giving them nice, clean cages.
Good singers. They all canaries, ma'am?
Oh, yes. Oscar and Ethel, that's these 2 here. They're both genuine rollers. Their grandfolks came from Germany. Beautiful singers. Wonderful company.
Yes, ma'am.
My others are pretty, too. They're only choppers, though.
Ma'am?
Choppers. They're different than rollers. They sing much louder. Maybe not as nicely, but I don't like to play favorites. I like all of them. You have birds, Sergeant?
No, ma'am.
You should. I think everybody should have a canary in the house. Cheerful, you know. Wonderful company. Don't know what I'd do without mine.
About your nephew, Ernest, Ms. Rolfe. Have you any idea at all how we could contact him?
As I say, it's been almost a year since I last heard from him. What would this be about, Sergeant?
Just a routine investigation, ma'am. We understand that you're quite close with your nephew, that he lived with you for a time.
Yes, that's right, he did. When you come right down to it, Ernie's a good boy. He kept bad company, that's what I always said. Got him in trouble 2 or 3 times. I suppose you know that.
You live alone here in the house, do you, Ms. Rolfe?
Yes, that's right, Sergeant. See, I'm a widow. Husband's gone a good many years now.
You don't take in boarders or anyone like that,
Oh,
do you?
no. Just me and my pets here. They're company enough.
I wonder if you'd explain that laundry piled up in the bed there in the next room, ma'am.
What's that?
The men's shirts, stockings, the underwear, they're right there in the bed there.
Well, I usually try to keep things in better order than that. It's just some laundry I do, Sergeant. Little odd jobs for some of the bachelor men in the neighborhood. I do it as a favor for them.
You're sure about that, Miss Roth? Huh?
What do you want Ernest for? Why do you have to chase after him all the time? Persecute him?
We're not persecuting him.
Ever since he's come here from Arkansas, it's been nothing but police chasing after him. Can't you give Ernie a chance? All he wants is a chance. He told me so himself.
We've checked through his record, Ms. Rolfe. He's had all the chances in the world, and nobody's persecuting him.
Then why are you chasing him again? Hunting him down? Why don't you leave him alone for a spell? Give him a chance to get a job, do something. Why are you chasing him?
Well, this is a robbery charge, Ms. Rolfe. He's been positively identified. He and Henry Moss forced their way into an old couple's home a few weeks back. They tortured the old man, and they beat him till he was unconscious. That's what we want Ernie for.
How'd you know it was Ernie? You could have made a mistake.
No mistake, ma'am. The victims identified his picture. There wasn't a doubt in their mind. And where is he?
You sure that's the truth? You sure it's Ernie again?
Yes, ma'am. Again. You can have all the proof you need.
The last time he told me he swore on the memory of his own mother. He swore he wouldn't do anything wrong again. I guess I just don't know, Ernest.
Where is he, ma'am? You want to tell us?
It's the last time, Sergeant. I'm sorry. Ernie's had his last time.
Yes, ma'am.
He's sleeping. The room over the garage. You'll find him there.
Ernest Windsor was apprehended and placed under arrest. His room was searched, as well as the entire home of his aunt, Mrs. Marie Rolfe. We failed to find a trace of any of the jewelry stolen from Mr. and Mrs. McClung. After we made arrangements for a stakeout on the house, Windsor was taken downtown to the interrogation room, where Jess Gonzalez, Ben, and I questioned him for 5 hours. He refused to tell us anything. At a special show-up, he was positively identified as one of the hold-up men by the two victims. Windsor was booked at the main jail on suspicion of 211 PC. The investigation went on. Every possible lead on the other suspect, Henry Moss, was checked out. We got nowhere. It was obvious that either Moss was in possession of all the jewelry stolen from the McClungs, or it had been hidden away someplace, known only to Windsor and Moss. From time to time, we had Windsor taken from his jail cell for questioning. It wasn't hard to tell he was bothered with the possibility that perhaps Moss had run off with the entire loot and was enjoying himself while Windsor spent his time in jail. We worked hard on that particular angle while we questioned him, but Windsor still refused to break, to give us any kind of a lead on Moss. A month passed. Wednesday, November 8th.
Sure working out into a dull routine. A full month. We got exactly what we started with.
Yeah. If we could only get Windsor to break it, it'd sure do a lot toward wrapping this thing up, wouldn't it?
I don't know what he figures he's going to gain, but keep him quiet.
Yeah.
Gonzalez and Johnny Power said they were checking out a tip from some informant this morning. Supposed to know where Henry Moss is.
Wonder if they found any luck. They ought to be back by now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jess.
Oh, hi.
How about it? Did you do any good this morning?
Oh, not a bit. Informant didn't even show up. Johnny's going to meet him this afternoon. Doesn't look to be very much. How about you fellas?
The same, Jess. We're going as slow as you are.
I get it. Robbery, Friday. Yeah, George. Uh-huh. 3rd and Main? You sure, huh? Right, yeah, right away. Well, maybe we got a break.
What is it?
Henry Moss. He tried to hock a ring at a pawn shop, 3rd and Main, about 20 minutes ago.
He make it?
Well, the pawnbroker stalled him. He didn't know for sure that the guy was hot.
Well, how's it stand?
Moss said he'd come back to close the deal.
When?
Half an hour. 11:55 a.m. A special detail of men, including Gonzalez and Powers, Ben and myself, were sent to cover the pawn shop near 3rd and Main. Gonzalez and Powers staked out in stores adjoining the place. Ben and I were stationed inside the pawn shop. Another team of men covered the rear exit. We waited. The suspect, Henry Moss, failed to show at the appointed time. We kept waiting. 1 p.m., 1:30. No sign of him. At 1:45 p.m., a young-looking, dark-haired man in a neat gray suit entered the shop and approached the manager at the rear counter. There wasn't any mistaking him. Henry Moss. He surrendered himself without even protesting. We took him to the city hall, to the interrogation room, where we started to question him. Meantime, Gonzalez and Powers located the apartment where the suspect had been staying. His rooms and personal belongings were searched, and every piece of the missing jewelry recovered. Surprisingly enough, in contrast to his partner, Ernie Windsor, Moss was cooperative, even obliging. We had a stenographer take his full statement, and then we got ready to move him over to the main jail for booking.
Just a couple of questions before we leave, Moss.
Sure, Sergeant. Go ahead.
We've had you in here before. How come all the cooperation this time?
Why not? I had it figured before time. If you got me, you'd have everything you need on me. Wouldn't do much good putting in a beef, would it?
Whose idea was it to start with, Moss? The hold-up deal. Yours, or was it Windsor's?
Both of us, I guess. I didn't want to get rough with the old man. I mean, the way Ernie did. That part I didn't like. All I wanted was the loot. Ernie just lost his head. Too bad.
All right, you ready to go?
Anytime, Sergeant. Hey, I wonder if I could ask a favor.
What's that?
Well, it's going to get a little tough in there in that jail. Wonder if we couldn't stop for a good steak and some French fries first, huh? Maybe some good restaurant around here?
No, it won't work, Moss.
You know I wouldn't try anything.
You put your order in a long time ago, mister.
What do you mean?
When you worked over that old couple.
Yeah?
That's when you ordered jail food.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 2nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. Ernest Windsor and Henry Moss were tried and convicted on one count of first-degree robbery and one count of assault with intent to do great bodily harm. Both men are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment for no less than 1 nor more than 10 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lives of millions of ragged and helpless Koreans depend on the unneeded clothes in your closet. Help these men, women, and children live through the winter. Send your clean, unneeded clothing and shoes prepaid directly to the Ark, Maspeth, New York, or the Ark, Oakland, California.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Broadway's My Beat, from Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway, it's the neon avenue of beggars, the gleaming alley where you dart and search and revel in the blaze of fury. You sidestep the gutters of night, try to close your heart against the carnival scream that rises high above Broadway, shatters, then prowls through the city. But it's no good. It holds you close. But at the waterfront, it releases you, hands you over to other sounds, the voices of the river, the waking wind that has slept in the sea, the siren wind that clears the way for morning and for death, and beckons you up the protesting stairs of a waterfront hotel, opens a door and invites you to consider a dead girl. She sits sprawled on the floor, her head resting on the edge of a bed, her eyes gray, like mirrors reflecting the gray of the sea through the open window. Detective Muggavan lets you absorb it, get your fill of it, then hands you a cigarette.
Light, Danny?
Thanks.
If you want coffee, the manager's perking some down the hall. He's very friendly. It said while I waited, I could...
Strangled.
Yeah. With a cord off a robe. Man's bathrobe, I'd say.
Where's the rest of it?
Couldn't find it, Danny. I've been all over. The killer cut it in half. Thrifty type killer, half a bathrobe cord. Very thrifty.
Who found her?
The manager.
The friendly one?
Yeah. A husband and wife registered here. Early this morning, husband woke manager out of a sweet dream, told him to bring breakfast to his wife in a half an hour. The manager did. But she wasn't hungry. She was that way. So the manager ate the breakfast himself.
You said her husband.
Yeah, Robert Burton, husband. Registered here last night with his wife, Laura Burton. No baggage, paid in advance. You're not reacting, Danny.
You said something?
Yeah, I did. I said Laura Burton. You didn't react.
She dies different from other people?
Easy, Danny. I only meant it's funny you haven't heard about Laura Burton. You know, the heiress. Daddy made millions in baby food. Educated in watering places. Educated by counts and dukes and ski instructors. Married a few of them. Funny you haven't heard.
Where's her husband?
I told you. He ordered a breakfast, took a walk, fed a seagull. That's the last anyone saw him. He was talking to a seagull. Oh, well.
What's the matter with you?
With all that money, a Park Avenue mansion, she dies like this. In a place like this.
Muggavan said it, and I shrugged. And over Muggavan's shoulder and through the window, I could see the early morning mist rise frostily from the river. And a tugboat and a man leaning over its side. And suddenly the sun was out, striking glints on the water. Daytime had just entered the port of New York. Laura Burton, heiress, Laura Burton, strangled in a $1 a night hotel. Find out why. Go to the Park Avenue address of Laura Burton. Be suitably impressed by the paneled oak doors, the musical chimes. The butler who took my badge and placed it on a silver tray disappeared, then returned and gave it back to me between his thumb and forefinger and told me to sit. Then 15 minutes of considering the 17th century tapestries and wondering how George killed such a big dragon with such a small sword. Then just as I was about to figure it, someone tapped me on the shoulder, and I had to leave George to his own devices.
You like tapestries?
Not especially. I was just...
Oh. Because if you did, I've got some in the study that would make your back teeth rattle.
Oh, some other time, maybe. Right now...
You're a policeman, aren't you? What policeman?
Clover. Danny Clover, homicide.
I'm Muriel Carlson. What can I do for you?
I asked to see Robert Burton, Laura Burton's husband.
And you're from homicide?
That's right.
Wonderful. Who did Robert murder?
We just want to talk to him. We're not sure he committed murder, Miss Carlson.
But it's possible that he did. Did he kill Laura?
Laura is dead.
Shot? Strangled? Beaten? Poisoned?
Strangled.
Well, I only ask because, well, I'm Laura's sister, and if any of my friends ask me how Laura died, I can tell them.
That's all your sister's dying does to you.
Oh, it's much more than that, Mr. Clover. It's a release. For years, I've been wondering how Laura would die. It's been bothering me. Now I can think of something else. Where'd she die?
In a waterfront hotel.
Then Robert killed her, of course. I say of course because there's no doubt about it. Laura was always running off to places like waterfront hotels with him, so she could get to know him better. Or maybe her own canopied furniture bored her. You know, I thought Laura's second husband would kill her. Now it turns out her fourth husband. Well, what do you know?
Where will I find him?
Robert? Robert, the man with the muscles, the man with the flat stomach and the fat mouth. Robert, fourth husband, Robert the stevedore.
Where will I find him?
I wouldn't know. But Robert could never get waterfront out of his hair. Literally. You could smell it. Am I being helpful, Mr. Clover?
Then the glee at what I'd brought her couldn't be held back. It bubbled up, spilled out of her mouth, shaped itself into a girlish giggle. She tried to smooth it off her lips with the back of her hand. Couldn't. Instead, stroked her throat, arranged her back hair, watched herself, admired her image in an antique mirror. With her eyes, invited me to the same. And I got out. Then the routine pattern began to spin itself out. The APBs, all points bulletin on one Robert Burton, suspicion of murder. The inquiries at the waterfront places.
Robert, if you find him, mister, send him back to me. I miss dear old Robert. My Prince Charming, I called him. Find him for me.
The waterfront buddies.
Robert married something rich, I hear. Gilda, huh? Well, she wasn't too rich for his blood, huh? That's a Robert for you.
The waterfront hiring halls.
You're kidding, Detective. We haven't seen him here since he married Mink and Laddie there. Robert's dreamboat come in, huh, Detective? Dead white?